I didn't even really think it was going to be Cinco de Mayo, or I knew it was, but I didn't. There's no plans, is what I'm getting at. We have a nice, refreshing lemon-derived beverage tonight. Maybe that can, because people like to put citrus in their, what do they call it, Coronas?
Patron.
Patron?
Their margaritas.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's so few holidays in which I actually take an active invested interest in. Cinco de Mayo isn't one of them. It's just not. Sorry. Like I always file it away in my brain under the same heading as all like St. Patty's Day or Memorial Day or Labor Day or whatever day that you can conceivably grill and get piss drunk. I go, whatever. You got presents, there's decorations, there's songs. Maybe give me a call, but if it's just like, come on over, I'll burn you up a hot dog and you can get pissed on Keystone Light or Corona, I guess, for the Cinco de Mayo. You probably go out and get yourself some Dos Equis or whatever, but there's always reasons to get drunk if you're looking for them. You don't need Cinco de Mayo.
That's true. And yes, we were too busy celebrating Star Wars Day. Definitely.
I'm still getting over May the 4th be with me. Ugh, God. That holiday. Yeah, thank God. I almost slept through that whole thing. May the 4th. I was like, oh man, has that happened already? And by the time I looked, it was already today. And I was like, whoo, missed it. Because back when I was really invested in social media, that was
annoying.
A real trial for yours truly back in the day when I was checking into that shit.
Hello, Allison Marie Spanish.
Hello, Allison.
Ricky's Spanish.
Yeah. Spanish. Yeah, I've got a couple of notes here for the green room. So maybe I don't know. I was thinking about this more and more. This is a non-issue. It's a non-topic. And if you don't want to listen, fine. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But like on YouTube, especially if you spend a lot of time combing its underbelly for stuff, you realize everything is it's just like everywhere else. Everybody's compartmentalized and everybody's pigeonholed, and those pigeonholes get, I don't know, stigmas attached to them. What's up, Tony? And also, hey, Dee Dee. Welcome.
Hello.
Tilting a glass of digital beer. But I was thinking, like, what if someone were, like, let's say, God forbid, if someone ever asked me, like, are you on YouTube? And I have to go, yes, because I don't lie. I go, what do I tell people that I do here? Because I don't honestly know. I don't think it's anything, really. It's not, I wouldn't say we're like a reactionary channel, because reaction channels seem really low effort. And I feel like I'm doing a little more than reacting. At least the calories I'm burning make me feel that way. But I'm also not educated to offer an analysis or a breakdown or in any way of like where you would need expertise. Because like a lot of maybe not a lot, but a few of the crime channels I follow here on YouTube, they'll list like Explore With Us will do this. They'll say, the video you're about to watch was fucking looked over by a clinical psychologist, a registered something or other, maybe a lawyer at one point, and they'll have like 4 credentials of, 4 people that are reading this thing, and I go, well, weird, right? Because that is like 4 people who had a career and now are doing YouTube, and God bless them because they're doing it right. Like everybody else is doing their research. I'm just someone here jaw-jacking.
I think it's more like a discussion channel.
Maybe a discussion. I don't know. It's definitely not a purely reactionary channel because
Kayla says maybe it's more of a pro-actionary channel.
Pro-actionary? I don't know. I don't know if I've proactively actioned anything.
The Joel Guy Jr. picture was perfectly twisted.
Say what?
I'm guessing is one of your
scroll
throughs a Joel Guy Jr.?
Oh, yeah. If you're watching the slideshow, yes. Joel Guy Jr. If you missed that, it's on our channel. We went over, since there's no, or at least I couldn't find any good interrogation footage, we went over his, the prosecution doing their case against, or their closing arguments, rather. What a wild show that was. If you missed it, holy crap. We had some really interesting back and forth in the chat.
Yeah.
But what else do I got here? Oh, yeah, that's one thing I wanted to work into, too. I already said one of them, Explore With Us. That's one of the true crime channels I watch. One that I'm really sad because she hasn't been super active, but Tactical Breakdown, I loved her shit. It's basically what we do here, except she's smarter, and you don't see her on camera, and basically she goes through the whole video without stopping so much and being so annoying. But like her breakdown of, oh God, I keep forgetting her name because she's so crazy, and there's so much footage of her, I can't ever probably do her. What is her name? She killed her husband, and then she like killed her boyfriend because there was like some pact. Ah, crap. It's all escaping me, but Tactical Breakdown. She also does a good breakdown of the Chief Hansy from Buckeye Lake.
Oh.
Where he gets fired. I plan to do him on this channel too one day because his going over, he gets Garrity rights, which is a lot like Miranda rights, but different, and it's I don't know, like if interrogation footage to you and to me is like chicken noodle soup, where you go, this is nice and it's familiar. His interrogation footage is like chicken and wild rice. Like a lot of the elements are there, but it's just different enough. You go like, something's up, and I think it's because he gets a better fucking deal, being a cop or whatever. Because we don't have to talk about it now because we'll get into it eventually.
Allison wants to know: have we heard of the case of Victoria Martins?
By name, yes, but I cannot pull the case. Here's the thing: I know people's names, and I know horrifying acts that those people commit. I seldom put them together. Very few can I pull by name and case. But yeah, Victoria Martins does sound familiar.
Yeah. Her name sounds familiar, but I couldn't pull what.
Yeah, I just have to go over and over and over again until I can cement, like the Sasha Samsudin case. Like, her and Stephen Duxbury are forever linked to me, and only because I've seen a zillion different types of footage. Like, there's the hallway footage, there's his interrogation, there's his polygraph, and then there's his courtroom footage, and he's a fucking nightmare.
Oh, I just saw that He's Purple.
Yeah, that's another thing I should probably bring up too. So if you're looking for He's Purple in any of these two episodes, it's not going to happen. She says it during the 911 call.
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't make it into our interrogation footage, sadly, but it's a good reference nonetheless. Tell you what, let's, I'm going to start, my computer's crazy. Maybe I'll show you this for a minute. No, maybe not. I pushed the wrong button. Oh, I did make a little something special, so I'll do that, and we'll get ready, and here we go.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Here we come. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave, and look, I made this little TV to be in. Isn't that fun? It's not very fun. I can imagine you saying to yourself right now, but I thought it was fun. It took me all 14 seconds to make. I got the dog creature up on that side. There's Mervin over there, my electric dog type Pokemon over there in the corner.
That's cute.
Anyway, welcome to the show, proper guys. It's Flamingo Friday. I'm wearing flamingos. If you can't see, they're pink. What's up? It's TV Dave. Do I sound like I'm on old-time TV? That's not a thing.
Old-time TV.
Look at the buttons are like pretty neat. I got to be in frame so you can see them, but I feel like that's a pretty good, I was asking for a vaporwave TV, so I didn't get anywhere near what I wanted, but it was the right size and shape, so I said, time to make a change. So let me get, now, does everybody know what Sarah Boone is and or was at this moment? Should we go over the basics? Maybe we'll go over the basics.
I mean, it's pretty short. The basics are pretty short.
Right. Yeah, so if you don't know, Sarah Boone is, I forget where they live. I want to say it's in like Colorado somewhere. Probably it might be Florida because that's why we have so much footage. No, it's definitely Florida. Sorry. I don't know why I was thinking Colorado. I was thinking Leticia Stout because she popped into my head for a second. But yeah, this is Florida. Sarah Boone and Jorge George Torres Jr. Have a tumultuous relationship. They live in a townhouse. Depending on how deep you want to get into it, like there are interviews from the police point of view for all her neighbors, the property manager. Like, you can get a very good idea of what Sarah Boone was like on a day-to-day basis, and it seems like stumbling drunk.
Yeah.
So her and George were having some rough times as usual, I guess. And I mean, we'll get into it. Like, if you don't know the Sarah Boone thing, you're going to know it. I'll just prime you that she's got a son, Lucas. His name will come up in this footage, and you'll need to know that. She's also got an ex-husband who showed up. If you watch the body cam footage of the day of incident when the police show up, he's there. He gets interviewed. He seems like a salt of the earth, poor guy who just like tied his wagon to a crazy mule. But so that's the long and the short of it. A suitcase is involved. She says he's purple. Let's get things going over here. Make sure all my volumes are properly adjusted, and we'll get this thing rolling. So here we are. You're going to first see the female detective. She's the one with all the sass. She's got a slight cough. Please excuse her. But then you'll also see my man, one of my favorite detectives as far as dress and mannerism go, in like the subdued category for the former, and the flamboyant for the latter. When he walks in, you see his shirt. You go, this guy's a fucking detective? Get going. Oh, also, she is coming in of her own free will. They're going to surprise her, yada, yada, yada.
It's going to be great. Woo, that shirt.
Yeah, so there he is. So these two people are named Scott and Chelsea. Isn't that great to know? So this lady is going to sit here and cough and be the bad cop. She is I have to feel like he probably always is the good cop, and you'll come to see that with the fullness of time. I feel like she's often the bad cop, but she feels like she's going to crank it up a little bit because she has that cough, and anybody who is ill sees a 10 to 100% reduction in the amount of bullshit they can withstand.
Yeah, and she's like always got her phone out.
Yeah, she's going to play disinterested angry cop.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming in. Yes, ma'am.
There he is, Scott in that shirt. Jesus, it's so red.
Maybe. Oh, I thought it was pink.
No, it's red. So there's also, if you look into this, sorry to stop again, but there's two footages. So you see this here. Oh, I'm grabbing the wrong mouse. This thing here.
Yeah.
This is also a camera that you can see the entirety of this footage on from a completely different angle also.
Oh, so you can see her face more.
You can see her face more, and not great. It's as grainy as this. But there are also true crime channels out there that meld the footage together for certain, various effects. And there's a bunch of them out there, like I said, worth a shot. But we're going to be seeing it from primarily a bird's eye view.
Obviously, he received his autopsy. So I'm going to read you your rights again because
he was purple.
we have to talk about that. And since I'm talking about the incident, we just have to do it, just like we did yesterday. Just like we did yesterday.
So this all happened.
We should have planned ahead because we could have done a full-blown bingo, but it would take 2 episodes, so never mind. That would be annoying.
We'd have to save our things. So this was the day before is when it happened?
Yeah, this is literally the day after. Like she calls, spoiler alert, she goes, I came down from passing out, not drunk, upstairs in my townhome. I come home, and George was in the suitcase, and he's dead. So, spoilers for the call. The dude is completely ineffectual as usual. Most 911 operators are like, duh, what? At one point, he's like, is he hanging from something? And she's like, he's in a fucking suitcase, numbnuts. Whatever. So yeah, he's in a suitcase. She pulls him out. That was literally yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So for some of these things, like you go, oh, I don't know how much time has passed. Like this could be months, days, years, or whatever. So, emotions could subside less than 48 hours from George's death.
Yep.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, so it's the
Unintentional.
exact same thing, but since I'm asking you follow-up questions, I need to read them to you, okay? Sure. All right, so you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in court.
Since I'm asking follow-up questions.
During questioning without charge. If you can afford a lawyer and want one,
we got a split. Nice. I haven't watched.
Questioning without charge. Has anyone threatened you or promised you anything to get you to talk to me?
No. 100%.
And do you understand what I just read you? Yes. Perfect. Okay. So this morning we went.
But seriously, look at my dude here. Just the crispness of the shirt. Like it's a nice. I don't know if it's silk. I don't know how much he makes. But like the offset of the black tie, because monochrome when it's black and red, striking as hell. I don't need to tell you that. You have eyes. So the black pants, the black hair, the black tie, the mind-blowing red shirt, and then to top it off with that little taste of gold with his badge just hanging right there, fucking nailing it. He's got hair to the nines, and it's so crazy because like I'll probably say this a lot, but these partners are like the odd couple. He's the fastidious one. He's got Brill cream. It looks like he smells like every orifice emits Old Spice. And she looks like she just rolled out of bed and could not give a fuck.
Yeah, she looks like hell.
To his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries.
I never noticed that badge on Sarah before.
By the doctor.
Or whatever this is.
I want.
It says visitor.
So he's got
Not arrested on it, is what it
scratch
says.
marks to his back.
I know what that's from.
Ooh,
Okay.
saucy.
And it's called a contusion. Do you know what a contusion is? So like basically you're getting hit, and then you get a mark from it.
Just a little FYI to yours, from yours truly to you, if you ever want to find out the types of categorizations of injuries, contusion is one of them. You can have a contusion, an impact from an object. You can have an abrasion, which is like road rash. You get abraded upon something, or you can have a laceration, which is an open wound. Of the three, you probably want a contusion, but I don't know.
I don't know.
If it's a bat to the head or a knife to the gut, which one do you take? I would rather not have blood spilled because it's messy.
I'd rather have an abrasion of all of them.
Someone hate
Well,
you
I mean,
or
that's the
something
middle
like that.
ground. You can't have one. You can't have the middle.
You can't have the middle. It's just one or
You
the
have to pick one of the other. You either get the ocean or the desert. In a would you rather, nobody ever gets like a fucking plain peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You have to pick a terrible situation and live with it.
A contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder.
So yeah, let's get into this. So she's going to describe these injuries. She's going to go, I don't know. And if you don't want to look into it, I'm going to tell you what probably happened, and it'll come out when the case goes to trial because it still hasn't as of recording. She probably kicked that thing down a fucking flight of stairs a few times because there are neighbors who are like, yeah, there was a bunch of shouting, a bunch of craziness happening. It sounded like a huge weight falling down a bunch of stairs, and then utter chilling blood freezing silence heard from the apartment. I don't know what happened, guys.
He had.
What a horrifying
he had a
time
cut
he must
near
have had.
his lip. We could see his mouth was a little.
I haven't laid a hand on him.
Okay.
Also
Never touched
too,
him, bitch.
He fell off my son's bike,
Okay.
so I don't know. And he's notorious for running into the wall or the hall tree. So
Okay.
I
What about the scratches?
Sex.
Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's also like a scratch on like the back of his neck, like kind of like going, but it's like going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
And they're all recent. Like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, the night leading up.
So that's one of the crazy things about this and other abuse type cases, whether it be adult or children. When the police go and look at all the injuries and they go, well, what's up with that? And then like Sarah, she's like, oh, well, like last week he fell off a bike or he runs into walls constantly, which is, if that's your life, like, holy shit, you're falling off a 9-year-old's bike, you're running into walls constantly, you're living with Sarah Boone. Get it together, man. But he couldn't. So, but that's the thing, like when it's easier just to get in front of shit, but especially like with an adult anyway, like they've had domestic disputes and abuse back and forth. We'll get into it throughout this interrogation, obviously, but it's been back and forth. So this is a fucking serious situation, and to be like, nope, nothing ever happened, when like no matter how drunk you were, even if like you blacked out and forgot you put George in the suitcase, right? When she wakes up the next day and George is in the suitcase and he's dead as hell, you must be able to put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, fuck, some serious shit went down. But to look past that and to be like, oh, nothing happened, because if I don't remember it, there's obviously no evidence of it, which is her plan until the video. We'll get to the video.
So when
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, like, The only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about, which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is.
That's also sort of an indicator of like, if you're pre-loading the chamber of excuses, like in your excuse revolver, and you're going to come in and be like, hey, I already have an excuse. Like she's saying, why say I already thought of the thing that you would point to. So free and clear.
Then how did she know he had scratches on his back?
Well, because if they're fucking and she's scratching his back up, then yeah, she'll know that she scratched his back up. But that's the thing. Again, he died yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Don't come into this thing being like, hey, don't know, fucking, he's dead. I scratched him when we were fucking. I'll own up to that. The rest of this shit,
remorse. Like she's not sad at all. Like I would be if.
Right. Put yourself in this situation. Let's say you blacked out. Let's give her the benefit of every doubt. You were somewhere, you blacked out, and you did something that you as a sober person would never have done. You, if there's anything in you that's human, you would go like, oh my God, why? And your mind would be blown by the horror that you had wrought while away from your own consciousness.
Right.
I don't believe she had blacked out the whole time. So that adds another layer to this. But just on that level, if we're going to cut her every slack, holy shit. Like I get, like when I when I ride my motorcycle to and from work, I have to drive through a lot of open desert. And right now is fucking insect season and bees are out pollinating every which way. And every time one hits me in the face, it explodes in a blast of guts and nectar that could have been honey. It makes me weep a little inside. And I'm a human.
Right.
I'm killing something smaller than myself that's part of the web. Most people are like, oh, I don't give a fuck. I just wipe it off when I get to work. It hurts me a little bit. So if I woke up and there was a dead person in my proximity, like any number of movies you've seen where you wake up and the knife is in your hand, there's a bloody corpse 3 inches from you, you go, oh, fuck. Sarah would just like drop the knife, do a quick dial rinse of the old hands, fuck right off to the corner store to pick up some wine.
No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over the house too, so.
Just PS2, I
Your
love
son
the
was
framing
there
of
when?
these
When was he last
interrogation cameras where you get all this
So I might
headspace.
have
Oh
seen
my
it
God.
like last Tuesday.
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week, so.
Well, we're talking about Sunday. We're just talking about what occurred Sunday. Because like I said, the injuries they occurred within that time period.
So you're talking about day before yesterday?
Sunday leading into Monday. You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
Correct.
Y'all don't
So
take
we're
me
talking
away.
about Sunday and then
That's
into
why
Monday.
I'm thoroughly confused because
I don't know how you can be confused, bitch.
fucking
Like,
idiot.
we've just gone over the timeline 7 times. I'll explain it to you, the gentle viewer, in case it confused you like it has Sarah here. It's like Tuesday.
Mhm.
She woke up the following day to George dead, Monday, which means she put him in the suitcase the night before Sunday. She met
Ta-da.
these people less than 24 hours ago.
we had a good time sitting on
You
the
had a
back
good
porch
day.
It's a
having wine.
good
And
day.
we a couple of cigarettes and then decided to
You
go
were
inside
Such a
good.
good day.
literally paint, do puzzles, and play,
And play.
and listen to music. That's why.
How old is she?
I know, we can talk about that in a second, and I know it play, but things come in threes, and they are so punctual when they do, because you go, and you can always tell who did not pre-plan, because they go, we did painting, we did puzzles, and played. She had no third thing. There was nothing there.
Nobody got out of sorts. This is what's
Out of sorts.
mind-blowing to me. Like,
Okay, sorry to stop it so often, but that's what you come here for.
Yeah.
Vernacular will change despite the principles and concepts being the same. You can say, here's a classic example that maybe everyone can relate to. Even if you can't, I'm going to say it anyway. Lolcows or internet people in general deal with trolls. That is like the nomenclature we mostly go by are trolls. But if you want to set yourself apart and make yourself seem important or better than or above or different or however you want to make yourself, you up the verbiage or just change it slightly. So like, let's say if you're like King Cobra JFS, you guys, the trolls, they're the trolls. Or if you have like, an oxygen tank of your own farts you've been sniffing for your entire life and your DSP, you call them detractors.
Oh.
Oh, you listen to the detractors. These detractors. They're detractors. They're detractors. The extra syllables does make you feel like you sound smart or like you've got one up or like, oh, these plebeians, these detractors. Doesn't make a difference. No matter what crazy vocabulary you want to use, the core principle is the same. But if you're delusional, it doesn't matter. So I hope that made sense to you, because if it didn't, you're delusional.
No.
Yikes.
I have no clue. Nobody laid a hand on it.
Like out of sorts is what I'm getting at. Out of sorts. Out of sorts. I'm not compos mentis. She'll use these terms like out of sorts. Like you have a fucking huge, like a laundry list of domestic violence going back and forth between you two. And you go, out of sorts.
We were good.
Anybody.
He also had, like on the left side of his forehead, he
Sacks.
had basically bruising, and
Down that stairwell.
like his head and skull,
I have no idea.
as if something hit him. Like
I
it's considered
have not
force
touched him.
trauma.
I have not touched him.
But I pushed him down the
I
stairs.
have not
in a
touched him.
suitcase.
How would you get those injuries?
Tell me and we'll both know.
Quick.
Uh,
Okay, so that's the thing. The first few times I watched this, the quickness of that reply, it's kind of like John Dupee with his Steelers and the Ravens.
Mm.
Except with Dupee, however you want to fucking pronounce that scumbag's
Dupee.
name, Dupee. That was like not like he was so entrenched. Like if you go into fucking his backstory, he was so entrenched in football that was a knee-jerk response. He says, Chris Hansen goes, well, who's playing tonight? Trying to stump him. He goes, Steelers and the Ravens. Because he is so football, that was just a boom, gut reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, okay, this sort of feels like there's an innocence to it. Because she goes, when Scott here, the detective goes, well, how did he get those injuries? Tell me we'll both know. Tell me we'll both know. I thought, that was so fast. And like, yeah, maybe she doesn't actually know. But then, with the benefit of a critical mind, I go, whoa, she's probably just said that a fucking zillion times.
Yeah, it's one of those.
She's
like,
a perpetual victim who's constantly probably breaking shit and then not owning up to it. So what I'm getting at is she's probably said that to her like landlord who's like, how did your porch light get all busted up? Tell me we'll both know. Why is there human shit like 3 feet high in the corner of this room in your house? Tell me you'll both know. Tell me you both know. Unintentional.
I have not touched him.
Yesterday, when we took photographs of your overall body, and they did the buccal swabs, did they go under your fingernails?
No.
Okay. Are you willing to let us
Absolutely.
swab underneath your fingernails?
Go for it.
That's icing on top of icing. We'll
I
get into
have
it
no
later.
idea, and I don't want to seem out of sorts, but I have no idea. We had a good day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good day. We've had good days lately.
Here's the thing. The concept of the self and the idea of rebirth every day is very Buddhist, it's very Taoist, it's very Hindu of Sarah Boone to adopt at this point in time. I appreciate that of her because like Marcus Aurelius says, every day we awake to a new world and we go about our business. The problem is with law enforcement, right? They're going to look into literally every second of your past that's been categorized. So even if you were having the best day that Jorge Torres Jr. and Sarah Boone ever had together, ever, it doesn't matter. That just so happens to be the day you ended up dead, number one. And number two, they can pull your name like a card from a library, and there's a zillion
Check out.
annotations on it.
Even considering everything that's going on with our jobs and life in general. And
I don't think she has a job.
It's been good. Like, I don't even know where.
He doesn't. Okay, so I think correct me if I'm wrong, internet, but I don't think she's employed at this point. And at this stage, George had just been fired from an Ace Hardware that his manager mishandled or whatever. So I don't know even if he's employed right now. If you know, drop it in the comments. But maybe he was doing day labor or something.
Coming.
Not that that's important.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
said
even
the
know.
last physical was probably, you said, I think, what, a month ago?
Oh, balls. So we'll do that. So, how are you liking it so far, guys? Like, freaking, I know I've been talking a lot and interrupting a lot, but even the least trained viewer in true crime is at least a passable layman at human expression. So I feel like her victim warning signs have been here enough for us to see that. I mean, sure, maybe she got me early on in the early days, but they tell me and we'll both know. But by then I already knew. Like, I knew the thing was in, not the thing, the body. George was in the suitcase.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If there were no evidence, like the ironclad evidence in this case, I can see where her perpetual victim mentality and like, I don't know, and things were good, might at least buy her some time until they start asking around. Because again, they literally canvassed everybody in the apartment complex, the ex-husband, like the whole nine.
Where you got the injury, right? You said that was a
I'll
month
say a
ago?
few weeks, give or take, yeah.
A few weeks?
Give or
that
take.
was the last, like, physical altercation between the two of you? Yeah, you said a month ago he hit you with a curtain rod.
Yeah, with the current run. That's why I can't believe you guys didn't take that either.
Take what though, right? Like, as
Like,
evidence?
we've been good. I don't know if, like,
We've been good.
the last time he got out of jail, like, we've been good, and he's been having his classes and seeing his probation officer, who's amazing. So,
Oh, right. I forgot. Yeah, he was on probation.
Yeah.
the probation
it'd be-
officer,
No, you said you guys have been good. What's your definition?
I've been good.
I've been good. He's a fucking alcoholic disaster. Full disclosure, guys, now that we're alone in this room together, that's just the three of us,
That George is dead.
he was a fucking disaster. Not to mock the dead and hand to God and, all the fucking religious shit that people do. But he was, not that he didn't, I'm not saying he deserved to die, but can we wrap this up a little early? It was unintentional.
I
I've
don't
been
think
good.
you all understand. He comes at me all the time. He comes at me. So it's either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep.
What?
So I'm going to have to make light of a terrible situation because of what we are presented with here. But this is a classic. It's like the Miller Lite of domestic abuse. Well, the same great taste without all the calories, because we have a toxic cycle that she'll get into where she goes, there's a domestic abuse, she sends him to jail, she doesn't press charges, or she bails him out, or she does press charges and he's going through batter's intervention class and like all this stuff. And this is a toxic situation in which like both of the people involved are equal antagonists. We're mostly familiar with, and oftentimes, it's the lady who's being abused, who cannot get out, who cannot reach out for help or whatever, and eventually something has to crack. Either they get out or dead. But since Sarah and George are both equally toxic, that's where the lightheartedness comes in. Because if it were George, like the situation were completely different, and Sarah was dead, George was there, he was constantly the abuser, like any number of, abuser husbands out there. You can watch the interrogation footage of yada, yada, yada. Oh my God, that's fucking terrible. And like, what a horrifying existence that Sarah would have been thrust into, living constantly with this man tormenting her. We go, fuck, poor that. But when the other person is just as antagonistic, it's the same situation, except both sides are giving the same amount of shit.
Right. Yeah.
They both play the aggressor and the victim in waxes and wanes. Whereas we're most familiar with the stable dichotomy of the super over violent or abusive, or however you want to put it, partner, and the submissive So, yeah, those ones you go, oh my God, it's so horrible. But when they are doing as much of the battering back and forth, like, because you know, here on the outside, you go to the person getting the battery without fighting back. You go, leave, and they go, I can't. And you go, okay. And you can't put yourself in that situation. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. I don't know. The support system doesn't matter. But when you flip that on its head and they're both the aggressors, who do you tell to leave?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Sarah now being alive will get to say, like, oh, now I can finally move on. But, you know, they're both making excuses. Like, I'm sure George, on some level, had to deal with people, like, because men talk about this, although to a lesser extent. Like, if you had a crazy wife, you know, I'd hear dudes talk about it at work. But then you go, okay, you know, get gone. How? They're both fucked. And who's going to take them?
Yeah.
And why?
Tony
That's
said
usually what it
you
is.
should be
I don't
better
know
off
if you talked to
admitting
Brian about
and
any of
claiming
that, but like,
self-defense.
when
I don't know, sticking somebody in a
Once
suitcase.
someone's in a suitcase, the self-defense is out the window, I feel.
I go over there.
My heart of hearts.
So,
Right, but you're saying that you guys have been good, and when I asked you yesterday, there hasn't, the last incident that you could remember was the curtain rod incident, which you said was a month ago, so.
give or take,
Right, so what do you mean by he comes after you? Like,
he gets belligerently drunk.
Both.
Like, I
Both
don't know
get
if y'all have
belligerently
looked
drunk.
through my phone yet and seen any of the pictures and the videos that I have taken.
mhm.
And
Nah.
at one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures, bloody fingers, split foreheads, he split my nose.
Another, like, I can't think of another or a better example. There's plenty of others, but there's no better example of how technology will not lie. Like, that's every time like, here's the thing, she took a picture and deleted it, right? So in her mind, because I always talk about, yeah, when you take something, it could get backed up to the cloud or whatever. Whoa, and that's scary. Now it's out of your hands. Well, even if you delete it, right, and it's off your phone, like, I don't have backup on my phone for certain stuff because it fills up. Like, you only get 10 gigs in Google Drive or whatever,
Yeah.
and I take a zillion pictures every day and whatever. I do AI art. So backing it up will be completely stupid for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't, I still can't rest easy knowing, like, if I committed a horrible crime, I took a bunch of pictures of it and then deleted it, and I go, woo, at least Google Drive never got their greedy hands on it. Like, they're still on your phone. They're there. They're just marked as free space. So you would have to have a clean conscience, fill up the rest of the free space, delete all that, fill up that free space again, and then maybe a couple more times.
Wow.
Just to make sure that that data was overwritten. Because that's the thing. Deleted and active don't change the reality of them existing on a piece of material, technology, a hard drive, solid state drive, whatever. And unless you, that's the thing, you have to write over it, delete that, write over it, like, because, and that's why it's so expensive. Like, if you go to a computer cleaning program and they'll say delete all your files, they're just marking them as ready to use again. They're not really deleting anything. So anybody can go back on your machine and be like, aha, here's the fucking video of the suitcase, Sarah.
I've got this.
Right.
I don't know if Brian told you about it, where I had to have almost I had one really bad surgery, but then it got really, 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 really bad where I had to go like 4 or 5 more times.
That's another thing about this sector of society is, like,
So
if you're involved in the criminal justice system with, like, domestic abuse or, like, petty stuff like theft or whatever, you also often have a bunch of, like, bullshit medical things you're always complaining about, and Sarah is no shortage of those.
like I feel
35
like I could help him,
times,
which I
Kayla
did,
says.
because he came a really long way
There you go.
from where he was in Philadelphia to moving back to here and to dealing with everything else that he's been dealing with. I've really helped him.
So, and that's the throwing. And Decon, if you watch this later, I don't want to make you paranoid, but just think about that. Like, when, like, you get a new phone or you get a new computer and it's like, oh, restore to factory settings, delete all my shit. Do you think that actually happens? Do you believe that when you go, yeah, wipe it all, that all your nudes or whatever greasy shit you got in your phone, I don't want to judge, but all the things that you think could get you into hot water on your phone are now gone. And it's only by virtue of the fact that every fucking person on the planet has a cell phone that you aren't like, because that's the thing. To assuage some, what's the apprehension? Yeah, it's easy to grab anybody's information because we're all out and existing in the world. It's just you have to be an appropriate target and an appealing target. I'm a nothing.
Yeah.
If somebody stole my identity or ruined my reputation, I would be out 0. I have 1 credit card, people. You can't hurt me, probably. I'm nothing.
Once Kayla knew how many times it was, she just took the hard drives out and busted them with a hammer.
I'm saying, if there's something on there that's hammer worthy, by all means. Obviously my mind will often slip to the disgusting because that's the age we live in. The internet offers a bevy of disgusting in every wholesome platform available. But yeah, even like your personal information, like your social security, if you do taxes on your computer.
Yeah.
Buy a big electromagnet if you're going to be insane about it. Like there's an SVU where like guy at a computer and he put a super strong ass electromagnet around the threshold of his computer room door and he goes, oh wait, and you go, oh God. Because like delete doesn't do shit.
Yeah. Everything that I did for him, gone to see all his public defenders, go to the state, I've gone to the state.
Yeah, work data is important. I'm saying it doesn't have to be disgusting. I don't want to paint every person out there as being disgusting, although you are. You're truly abhorrent to me. But we all have those corners of our life. But yeah, but any identifying thing, like, you grab a tax return from 10 years ago, it could have anything on it.
Yeah.
And not anything. It would have everything that you are on it.
I did everything for him because I'm trying to help him because I had hope in him. And he was trying. He was really trying. And then he
hit me with a curtain rod.
And I think he gets overwhelmed. And then it's like, the next thing I know, he's drinking. So it's like,
I don't know about you, but when I'm on the verge of tears, I got to stop for more than less than a second to recompose myself. Like I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I'll put The Good Dinosaur on for my kid because he'll take to it sometimes when I'm trying to get him away from cars or whatever. And that movie will knock your dick in the dirt if you're not like mentally prepared. Like if you are got the rose tinted glasses of like everything's totally fine. The Good Dinosaur, Jesus Christ, like that third act where it's like the all is lost moment.
Yep.
Can't do it. But moral of the story is that's a movie and it chokes me up and it would take me more than just like, anyway, I'm doing good. He's the bad one.
Like, oh man.
It's unintentional.
I know where this is going to go, so I'm going to go upstairs and read a book. Or I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to do something else.
A bike ride.
I don't want to drink. The occasional wine, whatever.
Bottle of wine?
That's when you have a good time. You don't have to wake up the next day. I have to wake up the next day.
You never have to wake up the next day. And that's why George drank 2 bottles of wine. He didn't have to wake up the next day. Got into that suitcase because he knew he wasn't waking up the next day. He wanted to have a good time, according to Sarah.
I have to tend to Lucas. I have to take him to school. I have all this stuff to do. He doesn't.
Okay. Again, with the 3s, right? I have to tend to Lucas. I have to blah, 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 blah. All this stuff to do was the final one, right? Because you didn't have a third one. But the rule of 3s is a digression. The more important thing is here, like, she saw her kid like 2 days every 3 weeks or whatever. Like, she was so blasted most of the time that she would either leave him at his dad's house or she would stumble over drunk and crash on her ex-husband's couch. So it's not like she had to wake up to do a lot. Like, maybe she had to wake up, but Lucas was at his dad's house and his dad was getting him ready and his dad bought him clothes and laptop and the rest of that shit.
So he wasn't there?
Who, Lucas?
Yeah.
No.
Then why would... Okay.
Know how to...
Why would she bring him up? No reason.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he wasn't there, so why would she have to tend to him when he doesn't even live there?
Because if you're an idiot like Sarah Boone and you expect no one to do any research and to just buy your bullshit wholesale, you'll go, I have to wake up every day and get Lucas to school. I've got things to do and activities. The police will go, okay, cool. Thanks for that info. Let's check it out. Let's ask the ex-husband. And he goes, no, she's constantly drunk and he's at my house 8 days a week unless, the moon and the stars align and she's sober for a couple of days.
Well, she had a good day.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, cops aren't going to, most liars take for granted that nobody is going to fact check them.
Right.
Most victim card pullers aren't going to ever have to face up to someone to put in the legwork to be like, oh yeah, your story's bullshit. But if you've never had to do that before, and maybe Sarah hasn't, even though like the domestic stuff, I don't know what her entanglements with law enforcement has been up until this point, but by now you should definitely know that they do their fucking legwork because they're paid to, and that type of job appeals to a person who wants other people punished.
True.
I guess, maintain himself, where I can do 50 things at once and still know the 50 things more prior that I need to get done.
Number one, couple of things. You cannot multitask. I don't care who the fuck you are. The mind of a human is linear. You can change your focus from one to another, leaving the other unfinished until you come back to it. You cannot do multiple things at multiple times. You are a single human being. I'm multitasking. I'm baking and I'm mopping. Well, once it's in the oven, you ain't doing shit. Right? So you can do one thing at once, and, not for nothing, Sarah, moving forward, furthermore, are what you want, not prior to nor previous, because those are done. You don't need to remember those 50 things, right?
He can't process like that. He didn't process like that, so
You don't
he
either,
would literally,
Sarah.
not literally, but had smoke coming out of his ears.
Not literally,
So the
obviously.
next thing you know, he doesn't want to deal with it. I'm going to go get something to drink. So the majority of the time, I would hang out outside or do something else because I don't want to drink. And every time, his job broke his heart. And it made me sad because he had so much pride in his job. And the store that he took care of so much.
He's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's dead. She knows he's dead. And the part that she gets all weepy over is like his work ethic at the Ace Hardware that he was at.
He was a good.
Or maybe it was a Do It Best. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was a
worker.
hardware store. One of the stories is like, oh, he worked so goddamn hard at that Ace Hardware. He earned that red apron. You killed him, Sarah.
Totally went downhill. And that broke his heart because he had put so much work and effort into fixing it up. And his manager was awful and basically gave up on all of the employees. So I think that had a huge bearing on why he
Gave up on
was
his
so much.
employees.
His ex-wife is bonkers. She was all over him all the time. Send me money, send me money, send me money. How can I send you money when I don't have a job? And he's still trying to take care of me and Lucas by paying a bill here or there, getting some groceries. So he always had something
She
on
must
his
have a
mind,
job
which is why,
of some
again,
kind.
I don't know
got
it
the puzzle
if she did.
and the bank to try to get him off of it so we don't have a drink, or he doesn't have a drink. So when you all see my phone, you can see all.
Whatever. Do you even remember what the fucking question was that preceded all of this? Because she drug up his ex-wife and how she's bonkers and like...
I don't even think there was a question. I think it was just like...
Well, whatever the diatribe that started this is like... So now, the moral of the story is that Sarah is trying to smash this blame around. Because right now we've got a ball of silly putty of blame. And it's sitting right on top of Sarah. So what she's trying to do is sort of push that into other directions to be like, oh, look, this bitch and this bitch and this person, the boss. Who cares about the boss, right? We're talking about the night in question, Not the last Thursday, not the last time Logan Lucas, whatever his name, was over, not where he worked, not who he was married to, not where his probation was through, not what classes he was going through. We're talking about a single night where he lost his life in a house where the two of you were, and one of you was alive and in a bed, the other was dead in a suitcase.
Purple.
Also the videos, but they not gonna tell that yet.
All of the damage he has done to me, and the videos of him smashing my
The
television
videos.
because he's belligerently drunk. Where most of the time, I just don't want to be there. And I try to help him. I try to calm him down. Eventually, he just passes out.
I think the lady
Well, yesterday
detective's
it made it
cheekbones
sound
make her
like you
look
guys were
like
just
so
drinking,
much
like,
more of a
a glass.
bitch. Like just how drawn her cheekbone is. She's like Maleficent.
Yeah, the lighting in these rooms is not photogenic. Obviously, you can see due to the shadows, we have a very, let me grab the right mouse, a very harsh light source up here that is blasting down
Yeah.
on both of them. Because even Sarah has the, sort of Skeletor cheek going on, the sunken eyes. Yeah, I mean, you're not. Maybe that's part of it. Is like you want things to be as stark as possible. This table is not meant for comfort. This chair is definitely not meant for comfort. Like the one this dude's sitting in probably sucks. Like she's sitting in this one because she's like the tough cop and she's like, I'll have this one. Thank you very much.
I want to
Well, I
roll
think-
around.
In a room, or rather a situation like this, you want the room to be as stark and ugly as possible.
And they nailed it.
Because
The shit on the floor. Ugh.
right, but that's the thing. Like, no matter what, I mean, it's a cliche. We've seen it in a million movies and TV shows. But like, attractive people get treated differently, and when the human organism, when you put them in, like you look at the Paul Bernardo footage or interrogation when he's like hitting on the female detective. That happened like in a fucking Marriott conference room. It looked like they were all at a comfy table and comfy chairs and shit. And so he was fucking going nuts. You don't want to offer any sort of comfort. And by that, even down to like how the detectives look. Like, I'll give Scott his sharp shirt here, but in this horrifying light, they all look like monsters. And you have to, because you don't want anybody sugarcoating anything. You want to get like down to the raw nerve as quickly as possible. And people will put up so much of a front of like happy, pillowy, cottony softness for an attractive person. But, they'll tell an ugly person to go fuck themselves. And that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Or to, like, yeah, you obviously had the bottle, but you told me on recording, like, that
It
you
was
were
the
not drunk, he was
weekend.
not drunk, you guys were having a good time.
I can't get drunk.
Can't.
Number one, I do not want to get drunk.
Don't want to.
I don't like being non-compos mentis, having my wits about myself. I don't like feeling out of control. So
I'm just saying,
That's the thing, too. If you're going to say number one, you have to have a number two. Sarah doesn't plan ahead. That's why she goes, I have this and other things. Number one, I do this. Furthermore,
you're making it sound like he's a raging alcoholic today, and yesterday I was kind of asking you those questions, and you're like a little defensive, like, no, we're not alcoholics.
I'm not.
We are not, but you guys were both sober on Sunday, to your knowledge, because when I said you went and passed out, you were like,
now if you're a very sharp-eyed listener, I think, unless I missed it, that was the first thing that our male detective said. Right? No, is it
No,
something
he
else?
said something else before. At the beginning.
He's been so quiet, I almost forget he's here. Like when we switched to the overhead camera, and I just see his hair, I go, oh, he's not even there.
He said one thing toward the beginning, but that's all he said.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is like he has, despite him sitting in the brightest colored chair, clad in the brightest colored shirt and the sharpest outfit in the room, I can't remember a thing he's done. He's playing his part fucking perfectly. Because if you're playing the part of the quiet cop, it really shouldn't matter what you're wearing or how you look. And he is the sore thumb in the room, but he keeps slipping back into the hand. Because I go, is that the first thing he said?
Like, no, I didn't pass out. I just fell asleep. So now it's kind of like, what is it? Were you guys drinking and it got out of hand and
No.
it got physical?
No.
Or is it?
Sunday was one of the better days that we have had in quite some time. He's dancing with my dog. You can see that too on the pictures, him loving the dog. He loves the dog and dancing around, having a good time, and just
The dog.
being happy kind of thing. He doesn't know, I can get like maybe 2-3 glasses of wine and I'll be fine, but I have to.
Okay, I'm not an experienced drinker. I'm just going to put that out there. But we've been doing homebrewing for, whatever, this whole year. So every batch comes out, we got to take a sample, we'll take tastings or whatever. And like, okay, so most people don't fill their wine glass up to like the very top, right? I'm just
Correct.
one of those people who is going to be sitting here for a couple of hours and doesn't want to get up and be like, hold on, guys, got to fill up the whole thing. So yeah, I'm sure when you look at my wine glass, it's like, surface tension has made it bubble over the top of the glass. You go, that guy's a drunk. But I can't imagine what she, number one, classifies. I'm sorry. I don't know why I talked about why I did that. Moral of the story is I can't imagine drinking that much because what does a glass constitute to Sarah? Is it like my ridiculous glass where she's thinking she's going to have to sit somewhere unable to get any other food or drink or reach the bathroom for a while? So yeah, stock up on everything.
Well, 2 to 3 glasses of wine could equal a bottle.
That's what I'm saying. Because like the glasses that I poured us tonight from my mead took 2/3 of the bottle. But that's simply because we're going to be here a while.
Yeah.
Whereas if we were sitting over dinner, yeah, we'd pour an inch, have some, and the bottle would last a while. But I feel like she's definitely one of those people, like, regardless of time, context, or occasion, it's like the headspace on that glass doesn't exist until she's drunk it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure like she'd probably be one of those people who gets the attachment that just attaches to the bottle of wine and it's a glass on the top and you
Oh
can
my
just
God.
drink it
That
like
seems
that.
a little too bougie for her. They're probably drinking their shit out of solo cups, let's be real. But
Well, there you go, yeah.
and then that's it too. Like, how big is your glass? But it's so, like, alcohol is one of those things where it's so easy to proclaim you're not hopelessly enthralled by it. Anyone who gets into meth or heroin or coke or any of these other things, the signs and symptoms pop up. But I know and have known so many functional alcoholics that, how many are out there right now drunk but just are really good actors?
I have
Sarah.
my wits about myself
Well, not
because I
anymore.
don't know what to expect.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. What was Sunday? How were you? Like, how many glasses of wine?
Still,
did you
we're
have? How many
talking about
glasses of wine
Sunday,
did he
Sarah.
have? The bottle was gone. I mean, I don't know.
Teachers
The
of
bottle
tomorrow.
is gone. Which, I mean, realistically, one bottle of wine is typically, like a normal bottle is like 750 milliliters.
Right. 750 mil, which is not a lot.
No, it's 3 glasses, 3 good-sized glasses.
Right, which I've had a problem with because it's annoying. Not to diverge even further from whatever we're doing, but like when it is an annoying thing. We get into home brewing and everything comes in gallons, 3 gallons, 5 gallons. You go, oh, okay, cool. Then you get these 750 milliliter bottles, Imperial and whatever Royal or what. These units don't match.
No, yeah.
It's fucked. It's annoying. not that I have a problem with how, whatever, you're buying wine, I don't care. But as far as the homebrew stuff, you can get a 32 ounce or a bottle, get ounces. Like, here's the thing. Let's just get together on measurements, people. In America, let's just say 750 mil, let's send those across the pond. Those bottles don't even exist here unless it's for non-alcoholic beverages like lemonade. Like, make it easy on us. Back to the show.
That was from previous.
You said that there was
Previous.
a half bottle left
Yeah, about
over.
this much.
And then
Okay, here's another thing I was a misconception of mine. And maybe yours too, so I'll enlighten you. You say, well, wine, that's not much. Like a bottle of wine. Because I always thought, well, what? It's like, as a layman in the alcoholic world, a bottle of wine seems like nothing.
Mm.
It is. I wasn't, and still, I wouldn't consider myself someone who drinks. But since we're making it all the time, I've got to. So it's just like from the outside looking in, someone say, "Oh, I polished off a bottle of wine." I go, "Well, so what? Is it like 2 bottles of beer?" But yeah, wine will fuck you up.
Yeah.
Wine, because I guess when you're young, right, and stupid, and getting into booze and like fucking with your experience as a human, conscious wise, you go to the strong stuff. And I just lumped wine in with beer and other stuff that was like, for either super poor people who are drinking Keystone Light or like dudes who like microbrews, or like you had to have a reason to go to beer or wine. I was an economic drinker. I wanted to get fucked up as quickly as possible, so I wanted the highest content available. And so I go, wine, that's nothing. Wine will fuck you up.
Yeah, it's usually I think like at least 9%.
So that's the thing when, like, because you could play it off like that. Because if you're stupid like me, someone says, "Oh, well, there was a couple of us. We polished off a couple bottles of wine and went to sleep." And I go, "Oh, that must have been fun. You got a slight buzz between the two of you, between 2 bottles of wine, had a nice conversation over a roaring fire and a couple cigars, and went to bed clear as crystal."
No, y'all got
When
hammered.
in real life, like, you were probably shit-faced, like, doing makeshift karaoke on your phone.
That would probably do it. Yeah.
So just know that, people. If you're not a drinker, a bottle of wine will fuck you up.
Unless you're eating.
That you had went.
Regardless.
Well, I don't even know how the wine. How'd you guys get the wine for Sunday?
I'm guessing he
the
went
store.
to Publix.
Publix.
Does he do the?
Publix. They sponsor almost all interrogation footage. If you're Grant Tomato or Sarah Boone and you committed a crime, you've probably been to a Publix within the last 12 to 16 hours.
Do you like leave the house and you stay home, or do you go to Publix? Like, because I know.
Sometimes I'll go with him.
Okay. Did you go with him Sunday to
No.
Publix?
So most of the time what happens is, because the convenience store where we get cigarettes is here, and then Publix literally is cattywampus to it.
Okay.
So what we'll do-
Cattywampus. Not crazy.
The term is
Catty corner.
Catty corner.
Cattywampus. It's all over the place.
Also, kitten caboodle is not kitten caboodle. It's kit and caboodle. Really quick diversion, because I thought this up and I was like, oh, that's really crazy. So here in the Southwest, being around rodeos and cowboys and shit, and tombstone and all that shit, giddy up. It's a phrase. I've ridden horses. You say giddy up. GIDDYUP. Sometimes 2 words, sometimes 1. You know, that actually harkens back to an Old English phrase, get ye up.
Like wake up?
Yeah, wake up and get moving. Start your day. So like before, when they had, before alarm clocks, they would pay actual people who had poles or rocks to knock on people's windows to wake their asses up. They were probably shared shift with the lamplighters. So they would say, get ye up. And as we progressed and things get, colloquialisms, 1 word, giddy up.
Huh. Fun
I
fact.
made all of that up.
Oh.
Truly, I did. I thought of that story on the way home from work because some guy's license plate said giddy up, and I thought, oh, I'll tell that fake story. But it might be true.
I mean, it sounds good.
It was so
Kayla
far.
says doing makeshift karaoke on your phone. Sounds very specific. Have you tried doing this during your mead tasting night?
Karaoke is not often far from my mind. However, I do not have a machine for it. Nor do I feel comfortable enough to try it on here. Like if I were able to find karaoke tracks, because it would be shut down probably instantly. Because YouTube, I don't trust their ability to be like, yeah, this is definitely not the real thing, because they don't care.
That's true.
But I often think about karaoke. I love singing.
Go by Publix, and then on the way back, catch the convenience store.
Okay.
So
Is that what he did Sunday?
I'm guessing that's what he did, because the next thing I know, he's walking in with a bottle.
Okay.
So
2 bottles.
it's him trying
She
to be
bought one.
nice, so I don't
She
have to go out.
said
Plus, there's stuff that are around the house
that
I
one
have to
empty
take care
one
of.
was a
So
different day.
that's usually what will happen. Or I'm folding laundry and he'll go run out and do whatever.
Okay. So, where were you
He's
guys
not
at
Hmm.
on drunkenness, not drunkenness on Sunday?
Where were we on that? On the scale of drunk to not, Were you?
You told us you weren't drunk.
No, I was not drunk.
Right.
I was not drunk.
Totally drunk.
So
probably.
with him,
Allegedly.
I don't know. I know when it's like, oh, okay, man, where I have told him,
Detective's feet.
slow down. It's starting to catch up with
Her
you.
pigeon feet.
Slow
Yeah,
down.
she
Slow down.
keeps tapping her feet.
And another thing too is I don't like listening to music with him because he gets too involved in the music, and the music that he listens to is a little rough around the edges, and like just it makes me fractious listening to his.
She's using words that
Right, because she wants to come off, because in her, she'll say it later, spoiler alert, but she'll say, I'm a straight A student, I'm always an overachiever. Here's the thing, if you're in high school, in college, just out of college, you can say, I'm a straight A student. When you're 40, living in a townhouse, an alcoholic, in front of these cops, I don't play like the.
I was a good student 24
yeah.
years ago.
like that. It hard like the cliche for dudes is like when they peak in high school with football or whatever, and they're always looking back like, oh yeah, like Al Bundy, if you know that reference, because God knows where people are at these days, but like constantly 4 touchdowns in one game, Polk High. Like if you're living in that space, you end up like Sarah, because your glory days are behind you. The rest is sliding downward, but you can always point to the days when things were okay and be like, I've always been a straight A student. Now, once you leave school, that doesn't mean shit. So for the past 23 years, that hasn't mean shit.
Yeah, Fantastic Planet says she makes him sound like a child.
Right.
Yeah.
And because that's what you want to do, is in this situation, you want to minimize your victim. In any murder case, whether you're a serial killer or not, or if it's an accident like this one, you want to minimize that person so much where you go, well, what's even the point in charging you?
Yeah.
Because like, it's the cliche of like the strong dad figure walking into the car lot, being like, I'm not gonna leave unless I get a brand new car with a $500 a month payment. And he walks out with $1,200 a month in a fucking sports car with 2 seats with a 5 family. You know what I mean?
Music. So I kept asking him, let's just you and me talk. You and me will just be the ones that are talking, which was fine.
Sarah has grandma arms too. I have to bring that up because it constantly
okay,
bothers me.
Now let's do the
Yeah.
painting. We just did the puzzle, took a break. Now let's do this. Sure enough, sat down. We're sitting in there talking, laughing, talking about new movies. We're watching movie trailers while we're doing painting and all that other stuff. So it's still background noise to him, because I think that's what he's used to, is having background noise. Where me, I can sit in here all day with not a peep. But he always...
Nowhere else where you get such deep insights into human philosophy than a interrogation room.
Yeah, because like that, the question was, how drunk were you?
Right. So that's the thing. We have to delve into, which is, I get, because there's so much to it, but you cannot, like, there are times and places, like if you have a bottle of wine, that's a great time to sit, relax, and talk about the nature of reality, right? But when your potential physical existence on the outside world hinges on your performance, let's call it, in this situation, I don't know. She just seems... She's one of these people who's gotten away with it before. She's done this shit a million times, and everybody goes, okay, fine. Because if you listen to it, her landlord, I want to say, is on her side. Like, buys it full, hook, line, and sinker. She's like, yeah, she's got problems. George is terrible. She's constantly drinking to cope. So she is the victim. So it worked. But here's the thing.
The landlord might have just wanted to keep her as a tenant.
Right. The landlord doesn't give a shit. And the landlord is like, the landlord isn't getting paid to go through her texts,
Right.
or to go through her history or whatever. So people get in this situation, they go, well, I'll just lie, like I always do. Because your average asshole isn't going to spend the money, calories, time, etc., to go like, hey, wait, everything you said has been a lie. They just want to go home and go to their family and eat dinner.
Always has to have some kind of background noise, which I didn't mind because the trailers were cool, and he was interested in showing them to me, getting excited about movies that were out.
Such fun.
upcoming.
The movies.
So
On your laptop you're talking about?
Mhm.
Like, okay.
and I mean,
Oh my
and then
God.
it was.
But you said it was a good day, like you guys didn't have any
Ads.
We always have ads. I got YouTube Premium. There's just no way around it. But yeah, it took a while for me to get to this footage too, because it was, if you grow up and have someone in your life that plays the perpetual victim, and if you're lucky enough to realize it, because that's the thing, when you're in an enclosed ecosystem like a family, you're not going to realize what traits are toxic and what is the matter, if anything is the matter, until you reach the public at large and you get a wide swath of experience to go like, oh, the general consensus is this is acceptable. When I look back on my childhood, this wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I started that, but that's what I'm getting to here is like, she's in a bubble, and as long as you're in your sphere of influence, you can seem powerful. If you're deluded and people aren't willing to step up and challenge you, it can seem like you have a lot of power, a lot of influence, and you're stable. You never are, really, because you're one piece in an infinite pieced machine that is constantly gaining and losing pieces. So to think that you're important in any aspect beyond just what you are right now is insane. And so Sarah takes that and goes, well, guess what? Not only am I more important, I am the most important. And, I'm a good person. And George sucked. Let's be real. George sucked. Guys, were you with me? Detective 1, Detective 2.
George, how do you
George
feel about him?
sucked. He sucked.
He was purple.
He's purple. He's in the suitcase. I'm a great person. I don't drink. He drinks. Just take his body out of here or whatever.
relationship? You guys didn't go down like the rabbit hole, like had too many to drink, and you guys start getting.
Nope. When I tell you this, it made me so happy that he actually listened to what I had to say. With just, we'll get through it. This will be fine. It's a small hurdle that you and I together will get through.
I'm unfamiliar with the
the money,
she is talking.
jobs, daughters.
Yes.
That he got
Okay.
fired, probably.
Right. So I don't think she had a job either. I'm saying, like, nothing. I've watched everything in this case, from the facsimile of the 911 call, all of the body footage, and I cannot pull, maybe I'm just an idiot, but I cannot pull any time she's ever said that she has had a job. We bring up George. He had a job, got fired, maybe had one that he just got, but I don't think she had anything going.
Nothing
No.
relationship-wise, though. Like, no issues. Like, did you guys have a conversation about your relationship, or was it just about?
Just
like,
what's
distressing.
going on right now.
Got it.
I try to evoke it from him so he gets it off his chest, because I call him the volcano, where eventually he's going to.
I hope I don't sound like this, because sometimes when I read books, you absorb some of the vocabulary and you want to. Personally, I don't absorb new words through audiobooks, but when I'm reading, I'll absorb them like a sponge and I'll start dropping them everywhere. And I hope to God I do not sound like Sarah fucking Boone, who every time I hear a word more than, let's be generous, more than 2 syllables, I go, what? Stop that. Is that me?
Erupt.
No.
Right.
And what he has learned in his classes.
Like evoke is what I'm getting at.
Evoking. Yeah. I was like, is that, why?
You're not.
Just
right.
say try to get it out of him. Like, that's not.
She might say provoke.
Oh,
she's
yeah. Provoking
Trying to
him.
get it out of him. But like that's the thing with the out of swords and compass mentis. She's that right. That like I'll call it the sweet spot of like knowing enough to be. I'll call it dangerous or stupid looking. There's a principle where you start anything, a hobby, a task, a trait, a skill, whatever. And as your skill rises, slowly, your confidence somehow makes it up here when your skill is here. So you can be, and I did this too, an electrician 6 months on the job telling the layperson at home how to run their life when someone who's a year on the job would be like, that's stupid. And that's what we're doing here. She's read a book or two, watched a YouTube video documentary or two.
Maybe she was an English major if she went to college.
Who knows if she went to college? It doesn't matter. But she's the concepts are there. Like we're not in the dark about what she's saying. No matter what word she chooses, we are along for the ride. It's just she thinks of like what's the smartest word to use. Like if you're writing, for instance, if you're a writer, sometimes you'll say, I've used this word too much. Let me jump into the thesaurus, find something else. And if you don't have a thesaurus handy or you haven't looked at one, words sound eerily similar. So provoke and evoke. Nuclear. It's a very fine line that can make you seem very stupid. Yeah. So I often try to come across as stupid, and that way no one is in the dark.
Is to communicate.
It's just easier.
Which is a huge thing in a relationship, where he has been practicing communication.
Let me tell you about communication in relationships, detectives.
And unburdened himself. Put it on me. I'll sit there and try and figure it out for you, like I have almost everything. Mm-hmm. Not a worry, just tell me.
Interpersonal problems cannot be solved by thought. You have to change your behavior.
Can I tell you, I was so happy. Like, it was such a good day. I kid you not. The weather was beautiful.
The day was great.
I'm the one that had him go inside so we can do puzzles and painting and listen to music or whatever else he wants to do. So then he starts doing whatever it is we're doing together in the living room and then starts talking because I think he gets comfortable with, okay, you know what, we're here. It is a good day. Let me go ahead and explain myself.
This isn't smart. It's like, here's the thing. Relationships, days, shows, they're all like cooking. What you have here is a bunch of raw ingredients. Like when this show starts, by and large, it's a slow burn. The ingredients aren't placed yet. We're just sort of waiting for things to start cooking. But as it comes to a boil and all the ingredients come together and I'm here and the mead takes hold and we're watching the video, we've got something going. It takes time, right? So, yeah, obviously, that's the human experience. It's so bizarre to me that, and I guess it's like a Dustin McFetridge sort of clinging to normalcy, where instead of clinging to what's normal, she is over-explaining obvious concepts to be like, see, now aren't we all on the same page?
Yeah. Communication is key, right, guys?
When you're in a relationship, and here's the thing, a relationship doesn't exist. It's simply an idea. Kristen and I are sitting up, our relationship is 5 feet apart. We're also married. If you're watching this, our relationship is you're on this planet watching this, sharing the same space as me. That's a relationship. It requires... Shut the fuck up, Sarah. We know. We're talking about Sunday. Remember when you killed George?
So I know.
It's purple, damn it.
He's purple.
But I know. Nobody knew.
One of the horrifying things, too, is like when she pulls him out and you can hear on the 911 call when she tries to pretend to do... Because I don't think she ever did CPR on him. When she's like CPRing his ass and she goes, oh, he gurgled. Horrifying. Like, you killed the dude, possibly accidentally, and now he's like making noises. I can't think of a thing that would traumatize you beyond the pale if you're a normal human. Here Sarah sits like, well, we were doing puzzles and painting.
It was a good day. And then I did fake CPR and, you know.
And Kayla makes a good point. It was a good day. And Sarah needs to bring that up more. She hasn't brought up how good the day was because that could be a mitigating circumstance.
You knew George better than I did. I say that I knew George better than himself. And I tried in every way, shape, and form. Ask everyone. I helped him.
By now they have.
I took care of
Yeah.
him.
And she did not.
I miss him a lot, and I didn't even sleep last night.
He died yesterday.
I miss him a lot.
I mean, is there any chance it got to be too much for you and you couldn't handle taking care of him?
So you
and
killed him?
I never stopped.
trying to
I never
help him?
stopped. That's what I'm here for. I never stopped. I'm here now because I'm still trying to help him.
She has poor posture.
Yeah, well, whatever. Really quickly, what do you think in her mind she is doing right now to help George? He's dead. She killed him. And the way that she has decided to help him is to come in voluntarily for an interrogation, the majority of which she has trashed his memory.
Yeah, yeah.
But never stopped. She didn't
Yeah.
sleep last night.
We just
Tired.
don't. I mean, it's unexplainable how he got these injuries, and
I have no idea.
you were the only one with him.
100% right hand to God. I have no idea how he got them. Nobody touched anybody. Nobody touched anybody.
But you touched the suitcase and
You
pushed
had
it down the
mentioned that
stairs.
you would take photos, videos, just kind of like a proof
Uh-oh.
of interest in general.
Yeah, I started documenting at one point, but that was way before, I think, the last time that he got arrested, where he was flying off the deep end.
Okay.
But then I had him bailed out. I got him out of jail.
Right.
But because he had violated the pretrial diversion.
And see, that's what's so fucking frustrating, right? Because if, again, the situation was different and Sarah was a meek, battered woman who kept bailing out her abusive husband, we go, oh my God, and the emotions would flare and you would feel so torn and you go, why? And leave. But hear Sarah do it and you're like, well, bitch, what the fuck did you expect, right? I don't know. There's just, the behavior is the same. It's just the presentation makes one so abhorrent, whereas one we feel for the person.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the person being abused is sad, we go, oh my God, it's terrible. But if the person being abused is also abusing, I'm not sure how to feel about that because, like,
Well, and it's like one of those things where it's two abusers are doing it to each other versus them being with separate people doing it to people that are
right. And so that's when you say, okay, well, thank God for that. Like when you see two fours walking together in a supermarket, you say, I'm glad they found each other. You say two sevens walking together. You say, I'm glad they found those, at least they're not tormenting someone who is, I don't want to say helpless, but the only word I can think of is meek.
or vulnerable.
But that's
Yeah.
the thing. The situation that grew Sarah is the same same situation that grew the person that we're talking about in the other situation.
Mm-hmm.
An abusive household, except one wilted and withered away like a dying weed, while the other bloomed like a toxic flower, shooting spores in people's faces.
Right.
It's the same upbringing. It's just we feel like Sarah deserves to have the book thrown at her because she was abusive back in retaliation. Whereas, like, if Sarah were the bad woman who then just one day snapped and struck out, we go, yeah, more power to you, girl. No matter what the law would say, they'd probably throw her ass in jail. But, the lay people on the outside would go like, yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Because everybody's been in one of those situations where you feel like, yeah, I would snap. Whether you say, someone hurt my kid, someone hurt my spouse or loved one, someone hurt a family member or whatever. You can put yourself there. It's hard to be where Sarah is.
This time it's probation, so you don't have a choice in it. You have to go to see
They
your
know what probation is.
officer.
They
you have to go to these classes.
are
It's court
cops.
ordered.
Classes,
Where it took 'em a
people,
while to
probation.
Get used to it and understand. They're not messing around. I even went down and met his probation officer, which I say she's wonderful. That's one of my questions too I need to talk to you about. Hugged me and said how much she knows that I take care of him. She called me personally one time when George was at work, when he was working. 42-minute phone call. She and I just saying how grateful she is that George has me.
Does that ring at all true to you, gentle viewer? A professional parole officer who probably has a lot on their plate. I don't, if TV is in any way a mirror of society, which it probably isn't, like the lower echelon of true crime is constantly overworked, whether you're looking into parole or you're looking into abuse, or you're one of those people who, after all is said and done, you're there for the upkeep. Your time is spread so thin, I cannot imagine a single person spending 42 oddly specific minutes with Sarah Boone talking about how great she is.
Yeah, no.
On what planet? Right? Like what, how many parole officers are like, "Oh, let me call the person associated with the person I'm professionally affiliated with. And yeah, just have a gab fest for 42 fucking minutes about how great they are." Probably not going to happen, right?
No.
And she knows how hard I'm working to help him, just as she is, and just as the classes will. So once he started...
Delusional people will tell you that they work all the time, and when you ask them what work are they doing, they say, "Oh, so much."
actually
It doesn't
going on a
mean
regular
anything.
basis to the probation officer, and then to his...
Ad.
But yeah, so there's another thing that Sarah has in common with, I hate bringing them up all the time, but lol cows.
Mm.
Oftentimes they are insanely delusional. And when you're by yourself, or when stakes don't matter, you can be as crazy as you want. It's just bathroom cougar. Oh yeah, I'll not play it now because we've already spent a lot of time. But bathroom cougar. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that, so sorry. Let's get back to the video.
VIP stands for Matters Intervention Program. And actually listening to what it is everyone had to say, he changed. Like I could see a change in him, where before lashing out, he would think about it. And would always come home and show me his papers, and we would look over his papers together. Where it's like, wow, you actually are learning this in class? And some of the stuff...
Personal note, I'll relate on this struggle. If this is true, if Jorge Torres Jr. were making progress, I'll possibly buy this story, because as of the last, 3-4 years, I've been going on a spiritual journey myself. And yeah, it will, if you're trying to make a radical change in your person, where you're trying to break the habit of, in this case with George, violence, domestic violence, you will oftentimes, when presented with these situations, freeze. And you will see, I will do it, and I will notice it in myself. You freeze and you go, okay. It looks like a computer glitch, and you go, 404, file not found. Because it's hard. If George was, and I don't know him, but if George was trying to make a legitimate change in his life, and God bless him if he was, it will seem like that, where you go, "Oh yeah, well you son of a bitch," and you'll freeze and you go, And not this exaggerated, obviously, and it may take only a second or two, but it is like a weird buffering that you have to sort of put there to break up those old patterns. And if it's true, that's even more horrifying, because if George was making positive steps forward, Sarah was the only thing holding him back. And if he, well, let's talk alleged motive, if he was getting better, I can't think of a better reason to try and not get him to be. Because if your toxic codependency is someone whose narcissism perfectly complements yours and they are making progress, that can be cataclysmic.
Yep.
Because you cannot pretend anymore. You can bullshit to other people, but when the rubber meets the road and legitimate action happens and George leaves, or whatever would have happened, that's where we're at.
That they would show them, like, videos. He would come home and be like, "Sarah, I'm so sorry for what I've done to you." Because for a video that he watches to make
Also, it's very easy in the calmness and stillness of a classroom or personal setting to be like, yeah, that was wrong. I'll never do it again. But when those emotions rise, your intellectual brain checks out.
Right.
When tensions run high, your programming that has worked in the past, whether it's good or bad, takes over. It takes a tremendous amount of will to stop and think. Was that happening? I don't know. But the potential is always there. That's what sucks. Because, like, everybody loves a comeback story, and this is one comeback story we'll never get.
Yeah.
can feel that way, where it's like, oh man, I have done her wrong. But he's changed. He changed.
Notice how it's always Sarah that's done
and that's
wrong.
why you're still with him, even
She's
though
never
he's done all
doing
these
wrong.
things to you. And
When I tell you I love him, I love him.
Even when you love somebody, you have limits.
Everybody tells me that. All my neighbors don't tell me that. The office property manager.
Just like think about that really quickly. Like your life is such a disaster that everybody, according to her, I'm not saying this is true because I don't think it is. I don't know if anybody was like, yeah, you're too good for him, Sarah, whatever. But if you're in this situation where Sarah is saying we're like, my neighbors, the property manager, basically everyone involved is, why are you still there? Like, a legitimate question has been asked. What up with that, Sarah? Here's her answer.
At some point, somebody gets enough, then they have to do something to defend themselves.
I would just flee. And I don't know if you
Flee. She would flee. She wouldn't get away. She wouldn't hide. She wouldn't run away.
Or leave.
She wouldn't leave.
Flee. We're
She
fleeing.
would flee. She would. I would abscond myself. I would abscond upstairs, detective.
And went
These
to
words
sleep.
have syllables.
see on my phone, or I think it's actually on a laptop.
Yikes.
I actually, because, and you have to understand too, I have, like, prior to classes in PO, kicked him out. How many times? I had him arrested. How many times?
But you also went down and bailed them
I
out
know.
the next day.
what's
I
on,
know.
Every
what's
time.
on your laptop?
What was I going to tell you? Oh, previously,
Mm-hmm.
I actually looked up how
Prior.
to file a restraining
Previous.
order.
Okay.
Because I would kick him out, his parents, because of them constantly having to take.
So put yourself in the place of this detective. Your supervising officer says, find out what happened Sunday. We've spent 20 minutes of interrogation footage, an hour and 33 minutes real time. Have you picked up anything about Sunday?
They had a good day and they painted in. did
Aside from the
puzzles.
good day and the painting and the puzzles. Everything that's painting and puzzles.
Music videos.
We had fun. Not music videos, they're trailers.
Movie trailers. Yes.
Movie trailers. What the
listens to
fuck
loud
happened
music.
Sunday, Sarah?
They
Came
had
back
a good
in,
day.
his bags of clothes,
Bags of
all
clothes.
his stuff. The last time, the father came out and irate and just not even, I don't even know if he knew Lucas was in the car. Just opened the back of my car.
So, sorry, now we're beyond her and George. This is now an interaction between
The parents.
George's father throwing a bag of clothes into the back of the car where Lucas was. Unnecessary roughness was in play, apparently.
Mm.
And just started throwing all his crap in, just throwing it. Like the car would jostle, he was throwing all his stuff. At that point, because I continually did it, not continually, I think I maybe did it 3 times, and he has nowhere else to go, they got fed up.
3 times is definitely continual. Like, if you want to be a serial killer, you kill 3 people.
Hmm.
You want to become a habitual, what is this, domestic abuse recipient / disher outer? 3
I said,
times?
nope, either
That's where you
you're
start.
staying there or you're staying here.
Purveyor,
Staying
maybe?
here,
I'm no
that's
Sarah
it, like,
Boone, sorry.
It's permanent. You're not going back over there anymore. So what happens is, he pursues me. So, I don't know if y'all know where Katie Way Trail is.
Do
Okay,
you?
so it's literally right there from our apartment.
Mhm.
Would ride his bike to work, But before, he would leave extra early and come up to the wall, stand on top of his bike, and poke his head over because he would know that I would be outside having my morning cigarette and cup of coffee. And I would also know, too, what time he would get off of work, where I would know, come getting off of work, he's going to do the same thing.
In most people's lives, they would recite this story with a loving glow, like an affectionate attitude, like, yeah, every time I go out to have my cigarette and morning cup of coffee, there's George on his BMX or his Huffy, and he sticks his head over the window and he says, hey, Sarah, and I say, hey, George, and then he does it again when he comes home, and that's why I love him so much. But, like, this whole thing is, like, he would fucking come over, stick his head over, and be like, hey, Sarah. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
This is, what was maybe it was Clarissa Explains It All. This is a Clarissa Explains It All situation where she's hanging out in her backyard. The boy of her dreams is coming over to climb over the fence to be like, hey, boo. And she's like, fuck your stupid ass.
So it's not like I ever got, like, a break from him, where I told you all yesterday.
Presumably the break would have come between the hello in the morning and the hello at night.
Or whenever it was.
Presumably.
I started to feel that it was too much togetherness. And when you have too much togetherness, friction happens. So I'm going to go ride my bike. I'm going to go upstairs and read a book.
A good lubricant will solve that problem.
But what does he say? Every waking moment he wants to be with me. So, and mind you, our townhome is either upstairs or downstairs. So it's like
there's no middle stairs.
Oh,
and
God.
watch a movie or play on the
Are
laptop.
they
Look
engaged?
at some jobs. You're
Yeah.
more than
I
welcome
don't remember
to.
that episode of
I'm just gonna be
Clarissa.
upstairs and watching one of my shows
Nah,
and reading a book.
nah. Clarissa commits a murder. Nah.
So, and then when that would happen, we really needed that. So what's for dinner? And then we would cook together and eat dinner and then crawl in the bed and watch a movie.
Are you talking about this is like recent?
So
or
back
kind
to
of, like,
Sunday,
fluffy?
bitch.
Seriously?
Like a little while
George
ago.
is
But
dead.
Now you're talking about tension building up and that you need space. So have you
That's-
been feeling that way lately, or?
No.
Okay.
Because again, and that's but too fine a point on it, we're only interested in the time immediately before and immediately after George's death, right? All the characters, all the time portals that we're jumping into, the past and the future, needn't be. What happened Sunday, Sarah?
We had a good day, damn it.
No.
That's all that matters.
Okay, my thing is, too, so you all know, I hate that you can't talk to her, but
Who?
Dee, his ex-wife,
There we go.
when I
B.
say a monster, she's a monster. Like, she withholds their children from speaking to him.
As you're watching this, or if you've watched it before, you go, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up, bitch. And the angry lady detective is going to... it depends on a poisoning will not have that much friction, right? You get hit in the head with a hammer, not a lot of friction. Impact, no friction.
So he gets upset about that, and then she, like, completely berates him about money, about the father that he is, what he did to her, all this other stuff.
But she wasn't
It
there on
doesn't
Sunday,
matter.
was she?
Right.
I mean,
Wait
mind
for
you,
it.
this is not, like, been recent. But, which is why he didn't even bother calling anymore, because he knows that she's going to answer, and he's going to have to talk to her, so therefore he can't talk to his daughter. The other time he talked to her, made her talk to Cookie. That's on my cell phone, too, so you can see it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, like, it doesn't matter.
What does she have to do though with anything about?
Bingo. So here's the
Nothing.
thing. If a smart person were sitting across me in this room grilling me during this show, and Chris were there watching the whole thing, like Scott the detective here, they could easily, like, because sometimes I'll wander off on a tangent and lose the thread. You've seen it happen a dozen times during this show where you go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then you're left like me, staring into the middle distance like Sarah. And then if anybody smart comes in and goes, well, wait, what does that have to do with literally anything like our lady detective did here? She goes, oh, yeah, literally nothing, but I got to spin.
Here's the
What
thing.
happened Sunday into Monday.
So what?
No, I'm just saying, like, previously.
Oh, so
why
nothing. It has
the
nothing to do with
incident-
it. Cool.
What
Cool
happened
story,
is
Sarah.
She plays a big part in it.
Okay.
On
Is
top
that-
of job
yeah.
and money and groceries.
But
and all
nothing
that.
about Sunday, right?
Sunday, when I tell you this, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Complete mystery.
Anything else at the house?
Nope,
Any
it's just
point?
me and him.
It's one of those questions that people answer confidently, not realizing that they're one of those nail in the coffin questions.
Yeah. Like,
They'll ask you things like, "It was just you two?" "Yes." "Do you ever loan your car to anybody?" "Hell no." "Does anybody have access to your cell phone?" "Fuck that shit. It's my cell phone, bitch." "Your knife collection with all the blood on it. Would you ever loan those precious knives out to someone?" "Hell no. They got my fingerprints on them and I bought them and they're my knives, god damn it."
well,
It's our human nature to exert dominance and or ownership. It's a territory thing. So we'll say, "Well, this is your territory," right? And they go, "Fuck yeah, now back off." "No one uses your car when you're not using it, right?" "No, it's my car." "And fuck you for asking." It's a dominant thing. It's a territory thing. And yeah, you'll straight up be like, "Yeah, no one uses my phone because why would they?" And they go, "Well, so you must have taken this video," which we'll get to.
Since talking
Eventually.
yesterday, do you remember?
It's like
any,
45 minutes
time-
in. I don't know if we're gonna get to it
or, like,
tonight.
what time you guys were playing? What time he was zipped up
Play.
in the luggage? What time you
I
went
told you-
upstairs?
if I ever, as an
started
adult,
because-
tell anybody that, like, you and I were like, oh, we were doing puzzles and painting and playing, why? I would never. That's not
Right, like hide and seek or tag should not come up in a.
without children.
I mean, even then, you can be like, "How did this murder happen?" "It with a game of tag." I wouldn't do that.
We cleaned the house a little bit, did some laundry.
You started the activities around 4, you said?
Yes, around 4:30ish, and then.
You just said that it was dark when you were playing hide and seek.
Give or take.
Curious
Yeah.
if you remember.
But when we were outside, that's where we would start
Mhm.
and talk about things, and then
Keep in mind,
eventually,
2
would
grown
come
adults
inside.
playing hide and seek.
About what time, do you remember what time?
No children involved.
I don't want to. Here's the thing. I know Sarah gets a lot of shit for this whole playing thing, but I don't want to badmouth it too much because I think that most adults that I know are total grump asses and don't know how to play. And the simplest and oftentimes one of the most fun games you can play are these. You don't need any boards or pieces or anything like that. Like hide and seek and tag are something that anybody can get involved in if you don't have a stick up your ass. So I don't want to be like, "Oh, they were playing." And also they were drunk. So
That's
like
true.
I don't want to knock the childlike aspect of their existence because I think that needs to be preserved in every aspect available. But on the other hand, as an adult, you go like, "What the fuck?"
Well,
So I am of two worlds, but I don't want to bash it because if the feeling is right and you're the type of spontaneous person who can take life by the balls and have fun, I would love to see that happen.
yeah,
But it
that's-
does make you sound stupid. I will grant it does make you sound stupid in a professional setting like this.
But the fact that it's not exactly the hide and seek thing, because yeah, cool, but to have the excuse of getting in a suitcase to hide
Right,
is
okay.
the thing.
That's the thing. You can't. I don't. You're holding her stupidity against hide and seek. Because let's address this really quickly. For hide and seek, both parties have to be in on one person hiding and one person seeking. If both parties, and she will admit this, if both parties are bent on the same venture of one of them hiding in a suitcase with the aid of the other, there is no hiding, so there can be no seeking.
Correct.
So that is a lie. Hide and seek is fun. Locking someone in a suitcase can be fun if you let them out before they die.
Yes.
And the suitcase is big enough and it's fun. And
Right.
I mean, we're humans. I'll jump in a suitcase. I hope someone lets me out. It would be fun for a while until the murder happens.
Right.
Let's all just be lighthearted.
Get in a suitcase.
That was just
With it open a little bit.
Hide the soul like in Child's Play 3, yep. Or hide the knife.
You said you went up to
Both
bed around
horrifying games to play.
midnight or fell asleep around 12:30-ish.
What year is this? Oh, it has not yet gone to trial, Joe. So I want to say it's either 2022 or 2021. She has been in custody since the end of this interrogation footage. So they're thinking, I think as of, if memory serves, October or November this year, 2023, the Sarah Boone case will commence. And I hope I get to see all of it at some point, because it's got to be, I'm going to hope it's like every other trial that gets, televised and goes on true crime somewhere. Somebody's got to release this shit, because I'm hoping a couple of things, honestly. The darker side of me hopes that she has not gotten better. She's still delusional, and the trial will be a shit show, right?
The trial is not scheduled, and it's scheduled to begin July 24th.
Oh, okay, so they moved it up. Last time I heard it was like October, November.
It was pre-trial conference was held March 31st, with the trial initially scheduled to begin on April 10th.
Yeah, it's
and
been pushed
now
back
it's
and pushed back.
July 24th.
So
as
we'll
of
see.
Yesterday. Or as of
But like I'm saying, the two things I want are, I hope that she is either still crazy and it's going to be an entertaining show, because like Darrell Walker or whatever, it's just an insane person trying to be wrangled into the decorum of modern law and order. Or she's made a change. Like, she's probably dried out. Like, if you've seen the picture of her pre versus post arrest, it looks like she's gotten better. And I really hope that she has dried out and come to some sort of realization. I would like to see a pot of gold at the end of this horrifying rainbow for her.
This happened in 2020.
So she's been in jail a while.
She is 45 years old.
Yeah, because of COVID. Everything's been pushed back.
Yeah.
Everything's going slow. But yeah, it's... That's the thing. The human in me wants to see her make a change, feel a realization, and change the world for the better.
She's still going to jail.
But the perverse imp... I know, but the perverse imp in me wants to see her be a complete shit show. And instead of being like manslaughter and 15 years, you get second-degree murder and 25 to life.
I'm just glad that her son has a father.
He always had his dad. Like,
in general,
her
like,
ex-husband is a solid dude, which is crazy. All those interviews, every piece of information I've been able to find out about him seems like he's just a solid, white bread, middle of America, do your job and be a good dude.
yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm glad, like, because there's a lot of true crime cases where like the husband and or wife kills the other one, and then the kids have nowhere to go.
Or worse, there's this one. She's from Brazil, or I think she's from Brazil because she speaks Portuguese. Or maybe she's from Colombia. God damn it, I'm an idiot.
South America.
I apologize. From South America. She killed her autistic son by pushing him into a canal.
Ugh.
And didn't realize there was video of her doing it. So much like Sarah Boone here, it's a fucking country mile of like, I don't know, like I came to a stop sign and these two black guys in ski masks pulled me out of my car, asked me for drugs, where are the drugs, and drove off with her car with her autistic, non-verbal son in the car. Yeah, so when the 11th hour comes rather, and they go, okay, we know you pushed him into the fucking water and he drowned. She goes, oh, it's the same shit.
Crazy. Yeah.
But those are the only times I have. So I have 4 and I have midnight. So there's a big gap. So I'm just curious, like,
Huge
if you
gap.
recall when you went upstairs to
And the
hide
puzzle
in the
chunk,
shower,
the paint chunk,
or-
and the murder
Like when
chunk.
we started to play hide and seek.
Yeah.
Well, we went inside probably about, if I had to guess, we weren't out there too long, maybe about 6-ish. Then
You're talking about from hanging out outside and like, okay.
well, we have 2 beach chairs that are out there and
Right.
just enjoy the weather.
She said they went
Plus it's
inside at
starting to
like
get dark
4:30,
and
4,
gnats and
4:30
mosquitoes.
to paint
So
and watch movie
let's go inside.
trailers.
I don't want to be out here anymore.
Okay.
All right, let's go. So we're doing whatever. We did it for a while because that puzzle, I don't know if they took it or they saw it.
They took
work
that
on the
puzzle.
again.
Yeah, they put that puzzle in evidence. They're like, this fucking Thomas Kincaid painting of a cabin. Evidence. Exhibit A, the puzzle.
Finished it.
Exhibit B, the
Started
painting.
to paint. Well, started listening to music for a little bit. Started to paint. Can we turn the music off? No problem. Start at the top, paint, whatever. Maybe, gosh, that puzzle, we worked on that for probably a good hour and a half. So 8 o'clock-ish?
Is when you went
This
up
lady
right
cop
upstairs
is so like
originally.
annoyed.
Well, seriously, you
foot.
want... Because very little information of usable nature has been gained. And if you are the type of person who's constantly with your foot on the gas trying to get as far ahead as possible, yeah, you're going to be like this lady here where she's like tapping her foot and like wanting to get shit done. Whereas like Chill Cop over here, he's totally like, I would like to think that I'm more of a, if I were a cop, I'd be a chill cop and I'd let the reins free and have like 5 or 6 hours of interrogation.
I don't
like,
think you could sit there and
No, I definitely couldn't.
No.
like Basil, what's his name? He killed 3 women in Canada. Basil something. He has a 5 or 6 hour interrogation video, and that interrogator, if there were a sainthood for cops, he'd probably be in it because he puts up with foul mouth and abuse and bullshit and lies for hour after hour after hour, all the while offering kindness, compassion, food, drink, cigarettes.
All the things.
Yeah, in reality, I would be probably 10 times worse than Lady Cop here, and I'd be like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck. We got the fucking video. You're a bitch. I'm out.
So that's
I
when we
think
were,
you'd be
like,
between the
painting.
two.
So then it's
I
like,
think you'd
okay,
be
well,
like a
I
moment.
I would
wanna
like to
paint
be.
Yeah.
more. Let's just, come on. Okay, you want to play hide and seek? What he does is, okay,
I would hopefully be an amalgam where like I would have a decent amount of shut the fuck up and hear what they're saying, like this dude, but also have a decent amount of like biting questions like she has when the moment was right.
Oh no, yeah, you'd be like,
That's
blah,
the
blah,
problem
blah.
with humans is you can't find enough well-rounded, like to find someone who has the patience of a saint with the biting intellect of, a master, like Sherlock Holmes or whatever. Incredibly rare. That's why you get the hot-headed question asker versus the slow, cerebral, like he's going to come in at the end and be like, so here are a bunch of really deep questions that this lady detective doesn't even comprehend because she's been chomping at the bit to get this bitch behind bars.
Mm.
tag, you're it. So it's like, okay, we know. Okay, take off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did.
And then you went upstairs, and then he didn't come up, and you came down.
And you murdered
and
him.
the suitcase
He's
was there
dead.
originally because you guys were planning to do donations, so
Including
it was
the
already
suitcase.
there. Have you guys ever played you said you played hide and seek like probably 3 times in your relationship?
Mm-hmm.
When you have
Something I want to get to that we get to it that'll tie it all together. But remember that she said donations. It's an important thing.
played, have you ever zipped him up in a
Oh,
suitcase?
holy crap, Mr.
No.
North.
No, sorry.
So
No.
it was just kind of like that prop was there, and it was there,
Yes.
and it was in play because
Why do you say it like that, though?
I would never do that.
You would never zip them up in a suitcase?
well,
I mean, we were
So Joe, his level of training, you're right. He is his, but that's the thing. He's trained to be the good cop. You, I'm sure, are familiar with Detective Jim Smith of the RCMP, the man who, Colonel Russell Williams. He was his interrogator. Jim Smith, he also did Terry Lynn McClintock, Michael Rafferty, and a bunch of other fucking horrifying Canadian cases. He's one of these diamonds in the rough, or like lightning in a bottle, where you can just send in Jim Smith. And you go, hey, Jim, knock this dude out. And he'll go, yeah, it may take him 5 or 6 hours, but you don't need 2 people.
Mm.
There's this another Canadian case. The dude was from Ireland, I believe. He had a very thick accent, but he killed his elderly girlfriend. And it's a monstrous interrogation, 6 or 8 hours, where it's just like, this guy is perfect, but slow, and that's what you get. It's like buying a knockoff Nike versus a real Nike. The logo is there. All the stitching seems to be okay, except one took an immense amount of time and skill to craft, whereas the other one was just looked at by someone and replicated. So you need 2 people to fill the gaps that the one person's going to have. But Jim Smith, he'll roll in and be like, hey, your boots walked up to her house. Your tires drove around the back of her house. Your knife killed her. What's the common vector? Just need one person.
Playing.
No, I know,
That
but
time, but
I'm saying, I'm talking about hide and seek, which is a game. So
the suitcase originally is in our closet, buried all the way to the back.
We're getting to the donations.
If you-
I haven't forgotten.
I know the CSI people saw our closet. Our closet needs to be cleaned out really bad. My son's clothes need to be cleaned out really bad because they don't fit him anymore, and I'm tired of looking at them. So he took it upon himself.
Just real quick, the fact, this is another indicator that she's a bad mom. Because he's not a baby, right? Like when you have a toddler or they're growing in the early years and they're growing quick, you go, whoa. He's like 9 or 10. So you've got a couple of years of clothing. I remember being 9 or 10. I've got shirts from junior high in my closet that I still wear to this day. So they can last a while as long as you're not an infant, a toddler, or right after where you're going to be boom. No reason in buying a $90 pair of cowboy boots because in 3 months their feet will be an inch longer.
Well, and not only that, but like, how much clothes does she have in a closet for her son that she
If
never
he
sees?
never shows up, God knows, because there's probably shit in there that he's never even worn. Where she
right.
buys and goes, oh, this would be great for Lucas, and throws it in there and it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm tired of looking at them.
Including that suitcase.
God damn it, get that Paw Patrol shirt out of my sight. Lucas, this is bullshit.
To take it downstairs so we can get all of our clothes, our donations and everything, and just leave the whole thing by the clothing and shoe thing at my son's school.
I'm
No, we're
curious
just-
to
I'm-
know. I would love to know if she had any other suitcases, like, cause
Well, no, here's the thing. The reason why they were getting rid of this suitcase, and it'll come up later, I don't know if it'll be in this episode or not. The zipper was broken, so they were like, fuck it. And when it wasn't even broken, it's just like the handle was gone, and so they'd replace it with a paperclip. And they said, fuck it. Not good enough for Boone Esquire
being out of in the
and
past, like,
Associates.
have you ever zipped him up in anything, jokingly or not? But
it was just put in a
obviously-
garment bag.
Here's the crazy thing about this case. She was investigated for zipping Lucas, I believe Lucas, up in a suitcase.
What?
So 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, I don't know how many years before this happened, she posted a picture in which the child wanted to get in the suitcase and be zipped up. So when that happened, someone reported her, I imagine because of her personality and personal history, and they found it was totally fine. The kid wanted to get in, totally cool. It was just a Facebook funny.
Yeah.
Which is what's so fucking chilling. Because I'll just skip ahead. Donations, yada, yada. All the shit was down there for them to get rid of. So this murder was precipitated by sheer coincidence alone. If they, as a collective, had not decided to start gathering these props in that specific spot in the apartment, he probably would have never been zipped up. He'd probably be alive to this day if it weren't for whatever spurred them to be like, it's time to get rid of X,
clean out these
Y, and
closets.
Z. And those are the most tragic, because the ones that Someone who is evil, who plans to murder, is going to murder no matter what. Green River Killer, BTK, Rodney Alcala, Ted Bundy, name whoever you want. They're going to do no matter what. They're monsters. But Sarah Boone might not have been a monster if the wine, the weekend, the perfect day, the suitcase, sometimes everything comes together in a nexus where people who would not, in any other occasion, do that. So, do I think Sarah is a murderer? No, I don't think she's a serial killer. I don't think she had the intent to murder. I don't even think she has, as dismissive and laissez-faire as she is, I don't think she has the intent to, like she'll say, I don't think she intentionally wants to kill anybody. She's just a sloppy, drunk bitch who was delivered a set of circumstances by the universe, and she took them in every way possible.
Yeah.
I understand, you're claiming that Sunday it was a joking matter. You were laughing, he was laughing. But what I'm just asking is in the past, is it something that you guys normally do?
Absolutely not.
And they would for sure know that this has happened before.
We were actually this last game running out of places to hide because we have a townhome where it's upstairs or downstairs. So.
Okay, so do you remember making any videos or maybe having any photos, videos that you remember?
So, real quick, because this always is a sticking point with me, because she always starts to say, did you have any because that's such we're all running through patterns. Like when Sarah, with her pattern goes, tell me and we'll both know, or every other thing I pointed out thus far. The detective is not immune to that, where she goes, did you have any So she's trying to just run through a checklist. And she's so irritated yet checked out. She was about to ask if you've had any conversations with anybody who may have videotaped you. I guarantee that's what she was about to ask.
Yeah.
Or doing on your phone on Sunday? No.
I think I took a picture of a dog.
Okay. But your phone...
Let's see, we're 29 minutes in. Not 10 minutes ago, I think she was saying that George was dancing with the dog and she had taken several pictures of it.
Yeah, you'll probably see some videos of the dog dancing with George.
Now, I'm inebriated. I'm not of sound mind, but I remember that, and I didn't even say it.
It's true.
Sarah, what up with that?
Is password protected, you have the password, he has the facial recognition, so it's not like someone else.
Oh, here comes some coffin nails coming up.
I have both.
But you have the face and the password.
Yes.
Yeah, but he only has the face, correct?
No.
To be able to get onto your phone, you told me that he looks at the phone.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you were asking if I did. Yes, it's me.
Okay. Does he have access to your phone? Because you said it's a shared phone. Okay, how does he have access?
Sarah, can I borrow your phone? Yeah, it's right there on the kitchen counter.
Okay, real quick. They're you know how cops that's not Boone. You know how cops love icing on top of icing, and they need everything to be explicit. Nothing can be implicit in the law. Mm-hmm. So she's not only going out of her way to prove that Lucas wasn't there, no one else has access to the phone should they get their hands on it. And even if George had the phone and was able to record himself being smothered alive in his suitcase, he couldn't have because he would have needed her face and or password.
Right.
At this point, the cake is so small and the icing so deep, the slice that you would receive at the birthday party would give you diabetes.
Okay, but how does he get into it because it's password protected?
He'll come and get it to me and I'll just do the face thing. Where sometimes too, he'll joke with me and say, okay, I need to borrow your phone. And he'll hold it while I'm cooking or doing something, do the facial recognition.
Okay, so he doesn't know the password and he doesn't have the facial recognition.
Real quick, it's not important, but she says, when I'm cooking, how many times do you think he came into an unlocked bathroom to hold her phone up to her face on the toilet so he could get on Facebook or whatever?
Cooking?
She said cooking. I'm saying toilet. She said, when I'm cooking or whatever. I'm saying in reality, she was probably on the shitter blasting one out where he goes, hey, babe, take a look at this. She goes, what? And he's like, thanks, and slams the door. And he's like, it smells in here.
No,
but he is the only other person that would use your phone, I'm assuming, other than
Well,
I don't have
Right.
facial recognition
Liz
on my
wasn't there or
phone.
Right, so
something.
that's a non-issue for you.
I'm just saying in general, like, I think that's
So-
weird.
Expounding upon that, you just think it's weird?
I think it's weird. Facial recognition is weird. I have a password, but like, I don't know. I would give you mine. I'm sure you probably already know it.
I wouldn't want to use your phone. But moral of the story is a lot of people have facial recognition. My boss, a bunch of people. Like, you know, when COVID came up, everybody had to pull down their mask. Everybody who came in and needed to use their phone in my clinic had to pull down their mask for facial recognition.
That's weird.
Everybody uses it.
Mm.
We all worry about Big Brother, but literally it doesn't fucking matter if it can shave seconds out of our routine.
So, to your recollection, no videos on Sunday.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I thought I maybe took a picture of them, the two of Tess and
The dogs.
George and them.
They were dancing.
But I mean, it's just Tess.
Okay. So I have something that I want to show you that we found.
All right.
You're not that interesting.
Listen.
I know. My phone's nothing's interesting on my phone.
So here's the thing, guys. We are 2 hours into this episode, and we are fucking 30 minutes into 2 hours of footage. Should we continue on? Does everybody have the resolve to watch Sarah watch this video with me, or should we push it off to possibly the next episode, which will... This might be a 4-parter. I'm going to be real with you. 3 for sure, maybe 4. This feels very long. I talk a lot. So should we watch her watch these videos and spiral out and then let the rest for next episode? Okay, so we're doing it. We'll keep going. Okay, we're keeping going. Okay. So buckle the fuck up, people, because this is the pivotal point in the interrogation. This is literally what you, the viewer, I don't care who you are, you want this in every interrogation. You want, at some point, the detective is to go, all right, I've had enough of your shit. Here is a piece of evidence that is irrefutable. Now tap dance your ass around it. That's what we're going to get, people.
And
Oh, but first the laptop dies. If you haven't seen this, sorry, the laptop dies. Take a minute.
phone.
I gotta get a charger.
Here we go. Take a look at this bitch. Oh, your battery's about to die.
You move it around, go ahead.
Sarah.
No, I don't remember that.
For everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me.
Your battery's about to die.
Shutting down.
Look at that
Oh
shit.
my god. And you can hear it. That is an old laptop. You hear that thing like grinding?
It's 2020. That laptop is from 2004. Probably.
It's a Lenovo.
It's an HP, I think. But like if you wanted to be cruel to Sarah, this is exactly how you would play it. You would play her that exact amount of video and then be like, oh, the computer died. I'll be right back. And let her stew in that shit. This is cosmic coincidence, and it could not have played out better.
You don't think they did it on purpose?
No. Because listen,
Let me.
Let's take that disc out.
and it's on a disc. It's so funny. It's 2020, and the fucking, like, it just makes my heart warm that there are police stations out there who have not yet gotten okay on the budget to buy a thumb drive and are constantly buying DVDRs.
Doesn't last very long.
It used to last a lot longer than that. I don't know what happened.
It's old, Scott. Classic is right. Oh my God.
No, I was just simply asking.
Here we go.
You had a look on your face when she asked you if you've ever done that before. You looked kind of shocked, and
No.
But I told you, we know she has. She was investigated. Like, I think it wasn't like a full-blown criminal thing, but it was CPS that investigated the suitcase incident, which I think is I don't know. I think that's bullshit. It doesn't. The pictures were posted to Facebook. The child did not seem in danger at all or in distress. There was another human male in the picture taking the the poses with the zipper and everything. It didn't feel like it was warranted, but with Sarah, maybe her reputation preceded her. He bought his shirt. Oh my God. Had to rip footage for the. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, Joe. They want DVDs. They're still. That's the thing. Society moves in stages where, like, the early adopters will have the cutting edge. The rest of us will have whatever's the cheapest. And government or municipal entities will have something that was useful 10 years or 20 years before that, which is hilarious, but let's keep going.
Why did you say it like that? Like,
I don't think you all understand who I am, where,
okay. Well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight-A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son.
Okay.
I excel at everything.
Straight A student.
I would not do that.
You wouldn't lock somebody in a suitcase?
Well, I didn't, like, completely lock it. I mean, I opened it with one finger. I left enough in there for him to get out.
Okay.
And I wasn't planning on...
Like, P.S. This is hilarious. You saw just a second ago our lady detective messing with that power brick. Hilarious. I have a not chronically, but critically old laptop that I can barely do Canva and stuff for this show. The thumbnails for on, and not even it has that embarrassing brick transformer like this has. Oh my God.
Going upstairs and going to sleep.
Look at that thing. It's embarrassing. It's 2020. Oh, I think he said Matlock. Matlock has that.
No, it's just the way you said it.
You guys are scaring me.
Seriously, the best thing she has to say is, I am a straight A student and I excel at everything I do. Now, here's the thing. If you're a cop and you go, okay, my job is to look into everything Sarah Boone does, she's not lying because all she does is drink and she's good at it.
Why?
Okay, also, it's easy to blow by because our detective is so smooth, but Sarah was just shown roughly 3 to 5 seconds of George in a suitcase, him going, Sarah, and her going, that's my name. I would have shit my pants, right? Because the rest of that video is not going to get better. Like, it's not going to be like Indiana Jones saves the day at the end. It was a Spielberg production. It ends in murder. So the fact that she can be like, hey, man, I know we just watched that video, but get off my ass. Like, he's the bad guy still.
We just want you to watch this.
She definitely does, because she's got some...
Yo, yeah, she definitely, she's got some highlights and stuff. She's one of these, I don't know. She's one of these people who puts in the bare minimum effort every once in a while. You've seen this person where they'll go crazy, they'll dye their hair a color, and then for the next 6 months, they have brown roots. And you go, did he want to keep it up? Nah, not really. I don't know if he is, so he's of, I don't know his last name. He could be of Hispanic or Native American descent. He's definitely a darker shade than me or Sarah. So I don't know. I like him so much. I want to say that he seems so low stress that he hasn't gotten any gray yet. But if he is, I mean, that's legit. It looks natural.
Came from your phone. Don't you want to know what's on it?
Yes.
You don't know me. That's the classic fucking Jerry Springer argument. If you are before two detectives accused of murder or before a live studio audience talking about how you want to fuck a chick who's 700 pounds and laying in a tub of lobster bisque, it's always the same. You don't know me. I would have loved that. Past my interest level now, but I guess you can still do Steve Wilkos. All right, let's watch this horrifying video of you murdering someone. But seriously, like, God damn it. How can you... Let's look, because obviously she has a memory of this. I guarantee it. But let's say you, me, or anybody else listening, you see that section of the video where it's a suitcase, the context is all there, and then the battery dies. Would you not be like peeling your face off or screaming or crying in some sort of anxiety response because the battery died? There's more to that video and you're going to have to watch it. But she's just like, yeah. You don't know me, red shirt bitch. Like, not worried about the video at all, I feel. No. She's just like, you don't know me. Like you're scaring me. Red cop? Lobster biz.
I don't know how much I can take.
Would you imagine if this were, instead of an hour and 55 minutes, it was like 4 hours, because 3 hours were dedicated solidly to a Windows update, and they just had to shoot the shit to try and get her to be like, okay, yeah, I can't power off, but yeah, tell me more about what it's like living in your apartment.
Yeah. What happened on Sunday?
Do I have to watch this?
Oh my God.
I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it, if that's okay.
Well, it's on your phone.
Okay, so what she just said is, I can't sleep. I constantly throw up. This is day 3. I mean, if you want to count Sunday, fine.
Day 2.
I would say day 2. He died Sunday coming into Monday. Let's just call it Monday, and it's Tuesday. Oh, shit. Yeah,
David muted me because I had to pee. Spoiler
yeah, she had
alert.
to leave and I had to mute her. So
He never unmuted me.
Sorry. But what I was saying before still holds truth, even though I've forgotten all of it now that Chris talked about peeing. Still true.
And you can either explain it or we take it for what it is.
Yeah, we're just trying to give you the opportunity to tell us what's going on. That's it.
Sarah. So sad.
It's that long?
PS2, not to be like, oh, what the fuck, but is there no cord on this side of the room, right? Like, so this has to go all the way down here. You see this embarrassing brick here, and it has to go past our Detective Scott here into the wall. No, nothing.
Why not put the table by where the
I
plug
guarantee
is?
one of these is a microphone, but is like, so this one, probably the mic. This one's not a plug.
2 minutes.
It's too high.
2 minutes, P.S. 2 minutes of the most horrifying footage, if you want to think about it, ever captured.
Mm.
For everything you've done to me.
It is chugging. You can hear the fans going.
It's got Windows 98.
Yeah, imagine that. Like, hilarious. Like, if this were a comedy sketch, they would have pulled out like a fucking E-machine from 1998. He's like, would you like to see a video? And they pull out and go clunk, and they go, let me just boot this up. And he's like, trying to play an MP4 from 1998.
That's you, your voice.
Stupid. Sarah.
Just listen to that baby hum.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
So,
Clean those air vents.
yeah, so yeah, that laptop is beyond help. Like, it's from 1998 and it should be put out of its misery. But here's the thing. This case is so absurd. It's easy to look at this and go, oh, fucking crazy. Like, using it, like, but just for a moment, if you will, put yourself in that situation. where you're in that suitcase, and we've all, like, if you've been a child, you've probably been in a tight space where it was difficult to breathe. And you were let out because you were wrapped up in a blanket or you were tied up in something or whatever. You were playing with your friends, your siblings, or whatever. That situation is no different than this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, you can hear him. He's talking, he's breathing, he's alive. And the absurdity of it covers up the horror. Because as she went and drifted off to her drunken stupor sleep upstairs in their townhouse, he had to be aware and conscious, probably the whole time, knowing that his lungs could not inflate the whole way and that he was not getting enough oxygen. He was, this probably wasn't all going through his mind, but this was happening. Not getting enough oxygen. He is, the gas exchange through that suitcase is basically zero. And it must have dawned on him at some point that, yeah, I'm a goner. And we can laugh and go, he was purple and yada, yada, yada. But the horrifying aspect of it is like, this was a commonplace event, coincidental, and without any major violence. There was no knives, there was no guns, there was no ropes. It wasn't, like Sarah says, intentional. It wasn't a bloody affair in which the primary attacker wanted the secondary person dead. It was malice tinged indifference.
I've never been zipped up in a suitcase before, so I don't have any experience in how to unzip it. But I don't know how he couldn't unzip the suitcase unless there was something keeping it from being unzipped.
A couple of things. A zipper works from one side typically. It's if you can't get at the thing, whatever. Regardless, you don't know what it's like to be in that situation, and you have to just take for granted that a person in that stark situation would literally try everything.
Right.
They would try pushing out, they would try scratching, looking for the thing. So nothing must have worked in every desperate attempt he had.
Which would just take up more oxygen.
Right. And Jill brings up a good point, because he could have, and I brought this up earlier, but he was thrown down the stairs at least once. That could have rung his bell. I watched a video where a woman was getting into her car. Her car was parked on like an incline, and her baby stroller started running down the hill toward a busy street. This woman was getting into her, like putting stuff into her car and was sitting, got out and fell down. Just fell down from standing. She could not get back up. I watched in horror as this overweight woman, after falling out of her car repeatedly, 3 or 4 times, tried to regain her feet, but could not. She was punch drunk. She must have hit her head and was like gonzo. And if it weren't for some dude who came in off frame to save the kid, she couldn't have helped that. And so there's George. Throw him down a flight of stairs. He did not just fall, clunk. He hit multiple.
Yeah.
So let's say even if his desire was, and his every energy was bent on getting out of there, he could have been gonzo, like cognitively. And they did prove he couldn't unzip it, yeah.
Last time we talked to you, you had said that you put him in the suitcase, he had 2 fingers hanging out.
I flipped him over.
Another horrifying thing to say.
I flipped him over, and that's where it was.
There's 2 different videos and a still picture where, it shows you flipping him in different positions, and him saying that he can't breathe, and you saying fuck you.
So this is upside down. So in order for him to have gotten into it,
it was flipped up.
Right.
It was
flipped up normal.
Yes.
Like as if you're packing something. So this is upside down.
Guys, this is killing me right now.
So
What a fucking thing to say. When they're like, hey, you put him in here. We've got proof that you flipped him a whole bunch and he was in pain and did not want to die. And she goes, you guys are killing me. It's a callback, for me anyway, to the Justin Ross Harris case, who allegedly, maybe intentionally, like dispatched his son by leaving him in a hot car. At whatever, minute 24, 30, 44, whatever the fuck it is, you never want to say, this is killing me. When those two detectives are asking Justin Ross Harris how long he's worked at Home Depot, that should be an easy question to answer because you just let your son cook to death in your fucking car, you double earlobed dick. Don't then say, guys, this is killing me. Fuck you, Justin. And then when the detective says, trust me, you have my every sympathy or whatever, he goes, how long are you working there? 2 years. Fuck you, Justin.
This image is upside down, and then this small video that occurred
true
11
narcissist,
minutes
Jill.
later, it's flipped over the other way, closer to your dining room table.
I
Now, he's
flipped
obviously
it!
still in there. So he didn't, how did it
Spoiler
go
alert.
back to the front?
Oh, there goes the laptop's gonna take off.
Listen to it.
My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep.
She must have a browser open too. But this thing is going fucking critical mass. It's about to melt down and take out all of Florida.
Well, that's what you did.
Yeah.
But not intentional.
No, you told me you went upstairs because
What?
you were
Stop
getting
here.
ready for bed.
Look,
Stop
I'm doing
here.
it.
Okay, but
Where's here?
show me where you can see any fingers coming out, because there's the end.
When reality is a real bitch, right? Because you have to live in it. And not only do you have to live in it, but you have to live in it with other people. And so when other people see things that are unequivocally rather, factual. I don't want to say true, because if something is a fact, it can be verified by a third party despite whatever two sides are fighting, whereas a truth can be here, there, or in between. Factually, we've got a problem. I forget where I was going with that. Sorry about it.
And his head's right here.
Hooting
So
altitude.
going like this, rather than going all the way up, it's like this.
Right. Okay. So yeah, reality. When you talk about something after the fact and be like, well, they could have, or they should have, or if, then, or but. It didn't happen like that, my man, my lady, whoever you are. Thanks for stopping by, Decon. Glad to have you. But the thing about reality is after George is dead, right? You pulled him out of the suitcase and reality has been written. You can't go after the fact and be like, but he had, and this, and he shouldn't have, is her defense, essentially. He shouldn't have died, essentially, is what we're getting at, because I left this, or he did that, or he should have been able to, shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's like the conspiracy problem, or the problem with conspiracies that most people don't see that I have, is that it's an if-then structure. So you say, if this, then this, and if that, then this. And you have this whole beautiful conspiracy theory that looks like a molecular breakdown of like caffeine, because you say ifs are dots and the thens are lines. If, then, and you have this beautiful structure. That if doesn't exist. Sorry. The first if, it never happened. George is dead. If, then, and George is alive, doesn't happen. The first if was imaginary. Like in most conspiracies or any other machinations of the mind, that first if needs to be not an if. It needs to be yes. That's how law works, right? You can't say, well, if you killed them, then you should go to jail. And they go, jail it is. We don't live in an if then. We live in this happened so. It's not an if then, it's a this so. This, George is dead in his suitcase. You did it, so you go to jail. It's not if he could get out or if he didn't. He didn't do it. There's no ifs. You didn't slip an if into that suitcase with him. He's dead. He's dead.
But why is he saying I can't breathe, and why is he pushing on it as if he can't get out?
Because he can't.
And it doesn't show a hole.
There's no hole. There's no fingers. I don't see his fingers. There's no hole.
I don't know what.
Look at, she's wigging out now because she's like, for the first time ever, someone who isn't believing her lies isn't easily dismissible because they're not a neighbor or a friend or a landlord. A follow-up question makes Sarah go, I'm melting like a wax doll under an iron.
You're trying to evoke these things from me.
Yeah, you're trying to evoke some intention when you cannot provoke any intention.
We had a good day.
Tell you, like I don't know, like what you want me to tell you.
I just don't.
I'm just telling you what we see and what we've heard from the other video.
I understand.
He's begging for you to let him out.
This is true.
You're laughing in the beginning, and then in the end, it sounds kind of like a...
No, it's not malicious.
Well, saying fuck you.
It's not malicious.
Then what is that?
What does fuck you mean to you?
Well,
Like if I were to...
Well.
Here's the thing. Detectives are not immune to human problems. We're all, no matter how much we want to be in the moment, we're all looking for closure and getting that zipped up tight, especially if it's your job and you're making money. I would love to have heard what came after the well. And there's a zillion instances of this. If you watch any interrogation footage, you're going to come across a point where the suspect goes something like that, where they go, well, and you go, I have never been more interested ever. And then some dumb fuck in the room with them, like this lady detective, goes, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter what they say. They've ruined the train. It's gone. It happened to Federico Gondola. It happens to Jeff Sokol. There are so many out there where they go, shut the fuck up. When you hear a leading statement, well, or if I, or any of that, shut up. We don't know it. We can't know it. Sorry. Moving on.
Oh, like he does. Like, I get told everything but a white woman, so.
But a white woman.
My intention was not to leave him in there. Please understand that. My intention was not to leave him in there.
But you went upstairs thinking that he could get himself out, but the video shows...
That's why I told you.
And I see his fingers, and
He'll be up here any minute.
And then 30 minutes later, he didn't show.
And he's telling you
And I
he
didn't
can't
wake
breathe.
up.
Do you think
not
he's
able to get out.
joking? You told me he was laughing, and
We were.
If you're not in a toxic relationship, you'll probably identify with this. Or maybe even if you are, I don't know. But if you're going to bed, let's say, in a house that you share with the person that you sleep with, and they don't show up, if them not showing up, 10 minutes feels long, especially if you're like, we're going to bed. If you're not up and wandering the house being like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know who you are or what you are. There's just something about being in a couple where you go, okay, we both decided to go to sleep, and if one eschews the declaration, the other person will come looking for them, even if it's habitual. So the fact that she's like, I'm going to go up to bed, and like, whatever, between 10 seconds and 30 minutes pass, depending on who you believe, she's just like, nope, don't give a fuck. Keep in mind, she put him in the suitcase. She remembers. It's not a blackout.
the video, there's no
When he
laughing.
first got in there,
It was just to torture him until he almost died. I wanted him to go to the brink of death right up to the point where he starts to like realize my value as, because I'm perfect. But not only that, but not only realize my perfectness, but like his ability to be good to me. I wanted him to know that via torture. I'm Sarah Boone.
Both of us were.
So how long was he in there for? Like, this video is at 11:12 when it starts, so was he in there for, like, a long time prior to recording this?
No. No.
So it goes from funny to no longer funny,
But
and you're the only one laughing.
But I didn't think that.
I want to, I'm distracted. I want to know what's going on here. Because obviously she has not been on her phone at all. She has been up Sarah's ass the whole time. Whereas we've seen Scott here has been on the phone a lot, but he's not talked a lot. So I don't know if this is a tactic where he's getting fed information that he's going to be doling out later, or if maybe he's just like, hey, the wife is asking for butter.
Yeah. On your way home, can you pick some of this up after you're done interrogating this person?
And that's why we're in that weird no man's land of like, there's no decorum. It's not like, oh, we're in interrogation, put your phone away.
No, because then afterwards she gets on her phone.
Right, but I'm saying that there's no decorum, so you can't. It's not like put your phone away because they have to talk to their superiors without necessarily leaving.
Right.
Which I'm not. I don't know. Whichever way, maybe it's just the temperature of the room, but it might be good for some people if you leave and say we'll be right back after we check on stuff, then check in and get the info, because that lets the suspect stew.
Mm.
Or if you want to feed them that constant drip of anxiety by constantly checking your phone, the obvious implication being it's only involving this case.
Right, right. Joe says it's wild that the only situation where, well, I didn't mean to, holds any weight is if this was like a sexual fetish gone wrong.
Right.
And even in that scenario, she still committed murder.
Right, and it's not even like it's a sexual fetish, right? It's not like he was getting into the suitcase so she'd get all horned up or he could get a boner.
Right.
Like, I'm more than sure, there's been umpteen zillion cases of people dying during bizarre sexual exploits because, number one, sex is a rigorous activity. Two, people don't like to exercise. And three, when that happens, if you clean up, you might be thrown in jail. Like, if you get in a situation, God forbid, where you're fucking someone in a weird way and they die, your best bet is to leave every single perversion and sycophantic diversion that your mind has set up in that room as is in situ. Because you go, I'm a fucking sex pervert and they died during sex. And they go, well, you left your sex pervert stuff out. The indication is they had a coronary or a stroke or whatever killed them. You go, fine, you're a weirdo, but case closed. If you clean that shit up, God knows what'll happen to you. Because they go, well, you cleaned up. And of course, logically, a normal human being will like, I'm a pervert. I cleaned up because I didn't want my perversions to be out there. But it's like that SVU where the guy dies during kinky sex and they go, well, he cleaned up and maybe he did die of natural causes, but his jaw was locked open because he had a ball gag. And there's like, the accoutrement leave impressions on your body. Like if you're going to wear a leather daddy suit, for instance, or whatever, like that's when you just got to own up and be like, yeah, I'm a sex freak. He died on his own, or she, I don't care who. They
was like panicking.
So pushing up on a suitcase saying
yeah, you're right, Joe. At some point, the situation, like the cleanup or whatever, becomes so elaborate, you just got to be like, okay, you were cool with committing murder. Because that's the case in 9 out of every 10 morons. They go, oh, they died accidentally and I didn't know what to do, so I burned their body, or I chopped up their body, or I put it in acid, or I buried it in the woods, or I whatever. I'm going to tell you this right now. No matter how scared I get when I come across a dead body, personally, if I didn't kill them, I'm calling the cops immediately. Mm-hmm. If it was an accident and I was involved, I'm calling the cops. If they are dead, I'm calling the cops. I'm not ever going to be like, yeah, this person I used to know as a friend, lover, etc. is dead. Now's the time to get serious about glad bags and bed sheets.
Let's go
Negative.
to Publix.
Negative. I'm not going to Publix. I'm not going to Walmart to buy my fucking cleanup or murder kit under their cameras. My first step is, if they died in front of my eyes, I would try CPR, obviously. I'm not a monster. I'm not going to be like, oh, they're dead, cops. But if all else was beyond hope, hello, police. I have a body. That's a lot easier to explain than like, well, I panicked. And typically when I panic, I buy a hacksaw and a meat cleaver and I swing wildly. For some reason, when I was swinging wildly in this fugue state, this particular time, I was like a hibachi chef. I chopped up the body like a piece of chicken in front of a bunch of gawking middle American people, right? It was just so confusing, and it was an accident, and I strategically hid the body parts and bought the acid, and I was just so afraid.
And I got a lot of bleach.
And, you know, the murder may have taken 8 seconds and the cleanup 12 months, but I was afraid of the police. Fuck you.
Sarah.
Damn it.
I can't breathe.
George has done that in the past before too, where it's just like he thinks that he's woe is me kind of thing, where it's like I don't.
He's never been locked in a suitcase. That's
No.
where he couldn't get out. So.
Yeah, George was the one always playing the victim card. Can you believe that shit?
I thought it was
And
the
you know
boy
the oxygen
crawling
is
wolf,
coming.
crying wolf
Crawling.
kind of thing.
Okay.
And again, my
But
plan.
but nowhere in there is he laughing. Is he joking? He is begging, and you're the.
If you have a child, you are intimately familiar with the concept of a boy crying wolf, or a girl if you have a child. Or even if you went through school, you went through experiences with people who were like, oh no, I'm blah, blah, blah. And it never was. So you get sick of that shit. You cannot pull that out of the 11th hour to strangers. You can't be like, oh, he was always doing that. Like, if it's the kid in class who's like, yeah, obviously that person sets themselves up for victimization. Because they're like, oh, I'm this or that. I'm always hurt. I'm always the victim. So, yeah, they're going to be victimized. People will pick on them. But there's a track record. The teachers, if they're not checked out, they're involved. The rest of the students, it's an ecosystem in which that exists. So to step out of that and tell an impartial third party to be like, it was the boy crying wolf, and they go, okay, I have no track record, so that is out the window. So for the boy who cried wolf, you're telling me you zipped him in a suitcase, and he desperately wanted to get out to stay alive, and that was him crying wolf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Explain.
The only one laughing,
Okay.
and you're the only one saying derogatory comments.
I can't-
Like you're mad.
No.
I can't fucking
Please
breathe, baby.
I don't mean to sound negative, and I don't know.
I don't even mean to sound negative. You've been trashing George, who's a corpse, for the last 37 minutes.
If I can say this, but like it's like you guys are kind of trying to like feed me, like.
No, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what.
Of how George died. He turned purple.
He died. He's purple. You call him. Yeah, he's definitely dead. So maybe we should call it. I feel like we've gotten past the hump, right? We've gotten past the video. We've seen that. We know that. I don't know how to describe this, right? There's nothing. I can't. There's no allegory. There's no metaphor. There's no analogy that I can give you that is like this, because they'd all be nonsensical. What's up?
Joe says, here's the thing. If he had been able to open the suitcase, maybe she would have noticed him doing the universal sign for choking and realized he wasn't faking. I'm really starting to come around to her side.
Right. She was a good person.
Yeah.
Turns out.
They had a good day.
So here's the best metaphor I can give to you, and then I'll call it a night because it's not good. And we'll do this again next week. So Sarah is like a person who carved out a canoe of a tree, right? She's an indigenous islander. She's maybe blind. She made this canoe, got out onto what she thought was water, right? Started sailing with her oar. Since she's blind, Here's the problem. The water is lava, and she's going to die. But she doesn't know that. But she thinks and is of the opinion that she can convince the other people looking at her, she's not in lava, she's in water. And that's why this metaphor sucks, is because without evidence, Sarah Boone could be allowed to believe that she was upon the ocean, sailing neat as you please. But the video is what turns that water into lava and lets her know she's going to die. And that's just it. It's a crappy metaphor because if the police did not have the evidence or were able to pull it and she hadn't made the video herself, she and everyone else would be allowed to believe that what was under her was cool, refreshing, crystal clear water. And that's what truth is. Her truth is it wasn't her fault. And that's that. He's dead. Sorry about it. Nothing can be done. That's the truth to her. The detectives come in and find out what their version of the truth is, which also happens to be facts, because facts and truth can overlap, but not always. So that's where we're at. It's like someone, Sarah, seated deeply and firmly in the truth of the matter, which is she is not a bad person. This was an accident. It was unintentional. And, let's just keep moving. Fucking Soul Train and all that good shit. But I guess in reality, but that's the thing, law and order doesn't exist in reality. It exists in our minds. So when her worldview conflicts with everybody's worldview that is on the notion of, criminal justice, well, this doesn't match. The problem with criminal justice is we say, okay, murder is a crime. We can say that's a fact because if two people arguing can say murder isn't a crime, murder is a crime, a third party can go out, find something that says, okay, there's legislation, there's, what's the word? Precedence. There is a pattern of behavior in humanity that says we don't like these things and we will punish those things. So those are facts. And that's the problem, is people will bring their truth to the table thinking it is fact, and the police bring facts to the table knowing it is truth. And that's the problem. Truth can pretend it's facts. Facts will always be true. I mean, unless, let's get into the gray area. If something gets overturned and some scientific concepts get changed, I don't want to out of the issue. But moral of the story is, we'll call facts what the majority of us agree on, whereas the truth is highly personal, potentially. And that's where we're at. It's like all of us live in a world where the truth is that crimes get punished and crimes are murky.
Yeah.
But if your Sarah and your truth is it wasn't a crime because it wasn't intentional, it was an accident, which one's right? Here's the answer. The biggest group. Right. So I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, because most of us are on the side of like, hey, less shitty things should happen. And we've all got a pretty good idea of what shitty things are. So yeah, it's all made up. But that's the problem, is if we can sit here solidly in the truth of whatever we believe, and we're delusional enough to confuse truth with facts, you have Sarah Boone. If you get someone who is nothing but facts, you get a cop, because it's black or white, yes or no. There's no nuance. There's nothing delineating your experience beyond this was a crime or this wasn't a crime. It has to happen one of two ways. Because if something happens, a cop is called and a yes or no has to happen. There is no like, maybe. Because a cop can't be like, it was almost attempted murder, or it was possibly planned, but probably not. Nobody likes that. Everybody wants to see like a stamp at the end of that book saying the end. And we go, but it's never the end. Like the people affected by the crime still keep going. The people who committed the crime still go on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless the death penalty or prison justice takes in or whatever. But that's just it. This is a prime example of, it comes up a lot, hypocrisy. But, you know, a lot of the human condition is like, you and I are not that different from Sarah Boone in methodology, day-to-day life. Well, we all cut ourselves slack for the things we don't cut other people slack for. It's just the difference between us and them, if you want to put it like that, is us, we say, yeah, I eat healthy, but we actually eat like shit. Or I go to the gym, or I work out, or I do this, or I do that, or I don't do this, or I don't do that, when the truth is the exact opposite. But the saving grace of us is that society at large basically does it too, so no one gives a fuck. The reason why Sarah becomes the object of ridicule and mockery and infamous is because that exact same attitude that you or I have toward innocuous bullshit was plucked and thrown at murder.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just it. It's just like, this is one of those ones where I don't know where you land. It doesn't matter. But with most murder cases, you go bad guy, good guy. Where I would say Sarah definitely is a bad guy, but I think she is a little more nuanced than that, beyond her own understanding. If you want to take her as an example of humanity that we have all tread the pitfalls of, not this grandiose, of course, we've all been there. And I think that's what compels us to most of these things, is we see ourselves in these perps, but we also see ourselves in the detectives. And we get to play those roles where we get to take a little bite of that poison apple because we know we've done bad, because nobody lives a perfect life, but we also want to get a little, I don't know what the word, justice, vindication, whatever makes you feel better of a person you know is worse than you, get the punishment that you should receive in a much less or a much more minuscule way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone were to come up to walk up to your desk and be like, did you do X? And even though you did it and it's not a big deal and the punishment will be nil, we'll go, no. And that'll blow the thing out of proportion.
Yeah.
Same thing here, except with the small crime, you could own up to it quickly and be done with it. With murder, it's a little more difficult. Sorry, Sarah. This wasn't like you ate my second half of the tuna sandwich I was saving from yesterday in the fridge because I can smell it on your breath. And you own up to it and you go, yeah, sorry, I'll give you $5. And we're all square. Because that's what most of it is when somebody is wronged, you want to feel righted. And for most of our small transgressions, we go, hey, yeah, sorry. And that's enough. Or you say, here's $20. That's enough. When we get to the point where it's like the major leagues, let's say, and you're zipping someone in a suitcase, there's no amount of vindication that's going to be enough for everybody.
Mm-mm.
So that's where we're at. So we're going to have to table the rest of this for next week as she dances around how to talk about this video and how do you, but she's got it for another hour and 10, roughly 15. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for showing up to this episode. I appreciate it. If this does stretch into more than 2,
It will. This is
We're
gonna
going to
be
take a break because some really interesting footage got released that the baked salmon brought to my attention that we need to go over sooner rather than later because it's going to be blown out eventually. But the Sarah Boone thing was so big, I feel like that was the time we had to do it. But that's it. Thank you so much for showing up if you did. If you're showing up later, hey, what's up? It's not Friday anymore.
Hi.
Or maybe it's later.
Maybe it is Friday.
Maybe it is Friday. It's been great. We're going to have to... I'll really try and knuckle down and get through the second half faster because a 38-minute section of footage for 3 hours of real time is unacceptable to most people. Time is a flat circle, though, so whatever. Let me get everything set, and we'll be out of here. I do appreciate you once again. Thanks so much for showing up. I don't have anything to plug, so until
Watch The
next...
Good Doctor on Hulu.
I hate The Good Doctor, and if
What?
Krista makes me watch enough of it, we're going to do a show on it, because I think it is one of the fucking worst shows, period. That's it. I hate The Good Doctor. We'll see you next week on another episode of FFOP Radio.
For this, try to